what is this thing?
Gio should never play for U.S. men's national team again because of the action of his parents.
What an idiot! Oh!
What type of Muppet does this?
It's Muppets. Absolute Muppets.
I'm not going to be the best person to give a whole explanation here, but that's...
Booty! Sick! Booty!
Fucking deal with it. What are we really doing?
Yeah, I can agree with that.
A zebra in between a tarantula and an elephant
has been nothing more than a sham.
Yeah, we didn't play well, but you know what? At the end of the day, we got the job done.
It's going to be a good time for sure.
Oh, sex with the first cousin would indeed be incest. And
Can't see us.
What happened?
Somebody forgot to remove the blinder there.
Okay. It's like, where the hell are we? All right. Welcome to the Straight Red Card. Today's show is brought to you by Canada Dry. Pour that shit with some vodka and get hooked. I think Jack Pineda actually mentioned he's trying that out. But it is fantastic, Jack. The problem is you got to kind of rein it in, man, because it tastes so good. Sometimes you drink it too fast and then you end up on the couch, passed out. Well, not passed out. I haven't passed out I don't even remember. I don't think I've ever passed out. I've never blacked out from drinking. I know people that do that rather easily, but I don't. I've always had
don't do it easily by any means, but it has happened.
Yeah, like that morning you woke up with a black eye.
Yeah.
Because EP beat your shit up. Like she clobbered you and you don't remember it.
She could have at least told me to take my glasses off first. It's kind of rude and inconsiderate, really.
I mean, just crush your glasses right against her face. All right, your face. Excuse me. All right, want to congratulate the Venezia boys, by the way. Got to do that because they have been promoted, which means that Venezia is going to spend whatever they need to keep Tessman away from Bologna and a couple other teams that were interested. Maybe I can't remember the other ones, but yeah, he's going to stay at Venezia. So will Busio. And let's not forget the other American going up is Nicholas Gioacchini. Unfortunately for him, he's probably not going to play much at all. He barely played in Serie B for that team. So I'd be really surprised if he played any at all once they go out and buy more players in the forward spots, which is what they will do. They will go out and spend a little bit. Not a lot, but they'll do a little spending. The turn in the background says, "Welcome to the Straight Red Card. The only soccer show that peaked in 2010. Actually, 2012. 2012. I think
you say we plateaued or declined for the next 2 years?
Yeah, I don't know what he's saying. That's actually mean.
We peaked when we started.
Yeah, I don't know. We had 500,000 views every year on Big Soccer. That's not that bad. I think it was about 500,000 or a little over that.
In fairness, that Suarez video alone probably outgross all of our videos combined now.
Right.
Shame we weren't monetizing that.
And that doesn't count the articles that I wrote as well. Keep that in mind for Big Soccer. Those aren't there anymore in the Wayback Machine. I went to try to find some. I couldn't find any. So they erased the memory of, I guess, all those articles from back in the day, which kind of erases some of the writers from that period too, who aren't there anymore, who were extra great writers, like, help me out here, Dan and guy came on.
We had him on, Bill Archer.
Bill Archer. It's good. Some great writers on that show or on that venue at one point. The Copa America is approaching and we will get valuable experience. Speaking about experience, my wife has a lot. I bet she does. Hey, here's an interesting thing, Brett. I thought I'd ask you this. If you had to pick one thing to lose, and it was between your sight, your hearing, or you'd be paralyzed from the waist down, which one would you pick?
Maybe hearing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't want to be paralyzed, and I would prefer if by losing my hearing, I would gain 20/20 and I could ditch my contacts.
Yeah.
That'd be ideal.
I mean, I hate blindness would be scary. Not having
the show would be a lot different, by the way.
If we were deaf?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it would be, but I could still read what you're saying as you said it.
This right here.
No. It would come up, right? It would come up as I could have it translated, or as soon as you speak.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Some of those that software is not really reliable. We had this is YouTube more so than that's actual software is devoted towards people of impaired hearing. But we are my school's announcements that they make with the students and all that stuff, and they have it posted on a YouTube channel that's not for the public. Like nobody can see it unless they have the link.
Mm-hmm.
Every time the students would say Falcons, the caption would automatically generate "fuck us."
I know. I saw one guy who did this presentation on the Falkland Islands, and every time he said Falkland Islands, it would say "fucking islands." It's like, no, it's Falkland Islands, but it couldn't translate it right. You're right. So anyhow, I could adjust to deafness quicker. I could. Now, not being able to walk would suck, and not being able to see, then you need help, or you need a stick, or you need to learn that. And if you haven't been blind for very long, that's going to be a bitch to learn and trust yourself, to walk around blind. But hearing, I mean, I wouldn't wish that on anybody, obviously, but I think I could live with that.
Being a big music buff, I guess that would have to kind of suck for you.
Yeah, but I've heard it all. It's like I already heard it. So
you have to do that Mr. Holland's Opus where his deaf son is like sitting on like a big speaker
to hear the rhythm. Yeah, but I don't need it. I've heard so much music. I think I've heard, like at my age, so much great music. It would be in my head. And if I needed to hear a song, I could actually hear it in my head. That's the great thing about the mind. That's why I can't get earworms out of my mind. That's why I've had Lay Lady Lay in my head on an ongoing repeat for fucking 3 weeks now. It's ridiculous.
When you hate for that to happen and you can't hear anything else to get it out of your head at that point.
Yeah.
Like, no.
It's not the worst one. I once had Yellow Brick Road by Elton John in my head for 3 years straight. I woke up every morning. It was like Groundhog Day. Goodbye, Yellow Brick Road. Every morning. First thing in my head. It's crazy how that happens. Speaking of singers, do you have a favorite female lead singer? Or just female singer in general? Do you have one?
Favorite lead singer, female? Spacing her name now from Evanescence, Amy.
Oh, I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't know her.
I dig her. I dig the chick from Paramore. I like a lot of the female rockers, man. Okay. I don't know what it is. Their music doesn't even have to be that great.
I got so many. I was like reading that question. I'm like, God, I got a lot. Like, I don't know how I would pick one out of them because there's Blondie, Annie Lennox, Stevie Nicks, Bjork. If you're talking about groups, the Supremes, or even Sinead O'Connor for one song at least. Aretha Franklin, Dionne Warwick. Come on, even she had great stuff. Karen Carpenter, and I love like weird ones like Nico from the Velvet Underground. So that's an impossible one. But if you put a gun in my head, I'd probably still go with Blondie. I probably would. Yeah. Brett, do you see my wife? She's working.
Yeah, she's coming on later. It's only 8:30 right now.
All right.
Nobody worth their salt comes on before 8:30. Come on, guys.
Yeah. By the way, the PDC darts tour came to the U.S. They played Madison Square Garden in front of like 10,000 people. And it was like 8 Americans and Canadians against the rest of the world. And we got creamed. Only one guy out of the Canadians, Americans was able to win, and that was some Canadian guy named Jeff Smith. Congratulations to him. He went on to the next round of the tournament. But it was
this was darts you mentioned?
Yes, a little embarrassing.
Let's pull this up now, I guess, right?
My crush?
Who is this?
This is Fallon Sherrick. It's a crush I got. She plays with the big boys. She plays with the men often. Yeah, not all the time. But, her and Bo Graves dominate women's darts. So it's like, I mean, it gets boring for them. So they go and play with the men quite a bit in certain tournaments. PJ Harvey's a good pick, by the way. Anyhow, I have kind of a crush on her just because of what she's accomplished. Because she was really the first woman to say, I'm playing with the men and do it. and go to like, I don't think she got through like 3 or 4 rounds at one point a handful of years ago. And I brought it up on the show then, I think like 3 years ago or whatever it was. Anyhow, I have a little crush on her, even though some people think she's ugly. I don't think she's ugly. And I do think that
I think she's the best looking one that you've brought up of all your crushes so far.
Really?
Yeah.
That's odd. Okay. I do have weird taste, but it's the fact that she's got, guts. That's what I like about her. She's like, hey, screw this. Hey, guys, I want to apologize. AJ1410. Hey, guys, I want to apologize for recently saying something wrong in a space regarding you guys. I quoted you guys saying Greg doesn't like Scally, and I wanted to apologize for getting that wrong. Greg doesn't like Scally. I mean, it's not personal. He doesn't think Joe Scally's a dick. He just doesn't like the way he fits into Greg's system.
He doesn't rate Scally like Terzic doesn't rate Gio. Right? That's basically what you're saying. Hey, you don't necessarily fit my system. You're going to be a big character.
Yeah, and we'll get into that later tonight. And we'll get into the Joe Scally thing much deeper. I think, what U.S. Soccer does is during these interviews with players and coaches, they build a narrative. They start to build a narrative of not only expectations, but, probably who's going to play. And it seems to me that everyone on the team forgot Joe Scally's name because his name came up 0 times. 0 in all the questions about right back. So that says something already. All right, we can move on, I guess.
Well, yeah, we'll move on to the fluff you've sent me instead of the fluff straight out of your head, huh?
Okay, yeah. Just make some shit
we started talking about soccer. We kind of got drifted out of. Sorry, we started talking about music, and then we moved on quickly to darts. I want to go back to music because you did send me this. And you can barely read that because I can barely read that.
Well, because it's such a dumb fucking question. Is Hey Jude the best song by the Beatles? Of course it's not. It's not even anywhere near close to the best song the Beatles ever did. Like, if you even post that up, that shows how stupid you are. Or you got really bad taste. I'm sorry, it's a dandy-ass song, but guess what? It gets really boring. Like, I've heard it so many times, and the ending makes me just want to go take a nap. La, 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 hey, Jude, Jude, Jude. Like, this goes on for, hours, it seems like. No, that's a stupid question. There are so many better Beatles songs. So this guy needs to get off. All his stupid questions on X suck. They suck.
Derek, he's posting these questions for people like you, so you interact with it. And all of a sudden, he's got this badass interaction, and he's going to get paid like $8 a post because of fuckers like you.
I didn't even answer this one.
Oh, fair enough.
Please, please, please me. Oh, yeah, like I please you. Wah, 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 wah. It's an okay song. It's all right. Hey Jude is so overrated. No kidding. It is. I'm a huge Beatles fan, but so is, the lauded, albums. Some of the lauded albums are not the best albums. It's like Sgt. Pepper's, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, Strawberry Fields is definitely up there. Lucy in the Sky, I mean, it gets old fast. I have to say. I mean, I like it, but as I got older, I liked it as a child. Not saying you're a child, just saying as I got older, I'm like, yeah, it sounds all right.
I was going to say,
sorry.
I think it's saying more about you, Derek, than you making a statement about him or her.
I mean,
like you're saying, I was once a kid, now I'm old.
Now I'm an old crusty.
That's the way I interpret it, at least.
Strawberry Fields, I Am a Walrus, A Day in a Life. I mean, there's so many good ones to put Hey Jude in that category. It's offensive to me. Sorry. All right, we can move on. I just had to get that off my chest.
Okay. Well.
Oh, that's a good one. Untouchables. Don't let me down. It's a great song. Anyhow, sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I had to get that out.
We've seen odd architecture before.
Yes.
And you sent something this my way, and I've seen ones like this. I haven't actually seen this one before.
Yeah.
But the first thing that popped in my mind, because obviously what they say is like, hey guys, what am I supposed to put in this space? And everybody comes up with some ideas. Oh, maybe you're supposed to put like a a beanbag, or
Well, you should put it up. Yes,
I'm going to.
Okay.
But the first thing that came to my mind was this is a great spot on those tower defense games to place something, because geez, you could just shoot all the darts at people.
You could put a keg there.
Good.
Keg. I was thinking keg. Like, I mean, I don't know why architects design things like this. Like, what are you really supposed to do with that? Like, it's maybe a good storage space for your sex dolls. I don't know what you do with that.
No, that's exposing it to everybody.
Well, if you live
Not
alone,
storage at all.
They can be like models. Well, you can dress them up.
Yeah, you could put a little shelf there to show everybody your dildos or something like that. Yeah, why
Something
not?
like that. Some sort of display, but something's got to go there, you would think. Like you could put like the...
you scream from it.
Time for dinner! You could put
You're
like
a peer pressure chief.
One of those big water things from work, right? So you get thirsty as you're going up the stairs.
Water cooler? Yeah.
Water cooler. But
yeah, there you go. You just make it a little wet bar, a little tiny. Well, it wouldn't be wet bar because you have to run some piping for that. But you make it a bar,
a baby wet bar. Yeah. I love that idea. You could stand behind it and serve people as they come upstairs to go to the bathroom during the party.
Yeah. Here's your little cup of water to swish and spit later on.
I mean, if you're a musician, you could store all your guitars and bass and all your amps there.
It's a suicide launch pad.
That's a good one. All right. Yeah, I don't know why architects do this. I really don't. Like,
no bueno.
It's like all these little like side ledge areas. I remember my wife and I, back when we were married, looking for houses, and there were so many of these silly, little nooks. You're like, what is this for? What am I going to do with them? Put a little couch there, a couple chairs. What do I do with that? Rent it out for porn productions. It's a little tight for that.
That's what she said. Oh, that's what he said. Put a baby gate there, and it's a playpen. Now, for most babies, I'd probably say no. For Corbin babies, man, we have this massive melon that there's no way it's squeezing through those bars.
Yeah, but they could maybe get over it.
True.
Yeah, just claw their way up it.
You know what? Yeah. You know what? That's Darwinism right there, right?
That's true, but they are
the strongest babies live. They are. You get a lumped up head. It happens.
They're toddlers. So you never know. All right, yeah, weird nook areas. Architects, can we work that out? Can we stop making stupid little nooks like that?
Oh my God! Over at Chad's neighborhood, they've got the new houses being built have these stupid half walls where the garage is. So the driveway comes up, and then at a 90-degree turn, it goes into the garage. And at the 90-degree turn, there's a stupid fucking half wall. It's about 4 or 5 feet long, and we're looking at this going, what the fuck is that? That is something for somebody to back up into at some point.
You took a picture of that.
I will. I'll take the picture next time I'm over. I'll have Chad send me a picture and I'll pull it up next show.
And that's
it's the dumbest thing in the world.
It's a really nice neighborhood, and for them to be doing dumb shit like that. Yeah.
No, oh my God. They're building out that cul-de-sac now. There was at one point they were talking about how the guy who owns those parcels of land like had zero interest to sell. And so they're thinking to themselves like, oh, geez, we got a cul-de-sac all to ourselves.
Yeah, they're all by themselves out there. Yeah.
Then it was like Fisher's Home bought it out. And all of a sudden, every house in that cul-de-sac sprung up like fucking mushrooms. Whoop.
Oh, well, I'm sure it'll be different than when I was there 3 years ago then.
Yeah. You won't recognize it now.
Yeah.
It's funny because Chad's house is obviously very, very, it's white with, black, like some black, dark wood and stuff like that, but it's predominantly white. The house next to us is like so it's such a contrast too. It's like they looked at that house and go, we don't want exactly that. We want the opposite of that, please.
He better invite me again next World Cup. I provided him an exceptional bottle of beer.
Derek, you might not be able to go to his house because you might be coming with us because Chad and I are already in the talks of going to a World Cup match.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We're gonna have to.
Yeah, I don't fly anymore, so it'll be tough.
You can start driving soon.
I'll start driving really early.
You take off after Thursday's show. You can. We'll meet you there.
Okay. Fair enough.
All right, so Derek, I want to preface this and a couple of topics. I think there's a couple topics after this. No, it's just this topic.
Okay.
We always seem to have like some to put it nicely, idiot female from TikTok on our show. I want to say we're not just singling these people out; they just come to us. So,
Yeah.
Want to pull this one up here? This is an absolute winner.
Oh my God.
I can make this bigger, and that's what she said. But I can't. So we're just gonna watch like this.
It's very. Oh, this is scary.
Sperm donors have to pay child support. Back in 2018, I was artificially inseminated because I'm a lesbian and I wanted kids, right?
Well, that might be a problem.
So me and my girlfriend decided that we were going to go find a donor.
You and your girlfriend, huh?
Were they not married?
That's a brilliant idea. Yeah.
Yeah. They should marry.
And have a kid that way. When we broke up, she said that she had no legal obligation to this child and she didn't want to be the parent anymore. Of course.
Yeah.
Kind of a bitch move too, man.
I mean, yeah, but that's why you don't do it with your girlfriend. You do it with your wife or your whatever. Yeah. I mean, you do it with somebody you're legally bound to.
Exactly, right? That way they can't screw you over like in this situation.
And just say, hey, I never really wanted to do that anyhow, so it's all on you. Good luck.
Tough, it's yours.
Good luck.
Not biologically mine. I have no stake in this matter. So
yeah.
Again, outside of the financial aspect, just from the child standpoint, that is a bitch move.
Somebody's saying these are fake. This doesn't sound fake at all to me.
Some of them are fake, I'm sure. I'm sure
some of them are, but this doesn't come off as fakey sounding.
Even if they are fake, I guarantee you somebody had this thought. This is the same reason you look at anything. Look at anything. There's always some weird, stupid warning on there. Like you're like, who the fuck would do that? Like those little magnetic strips that come on like DVD cases. Although I don't know how many people actually buy physical media these days. But it used to have these like little metal strips that come in the DVD case that, you know, if you walk through a sensor, it would go beep, beep, beep if they weren't deactivated.
Sure.
On that box, because I used to work at Blockbuster, on that box it says, please remove before microwaving. So some idiot took one of those magnetic strips and microwaved it on something else, whether it was a case or whatever. That thing obviously is being magnetic, you know. So there's, even if these are fake, there are people out there that have these thought processes, which is why it makes it relevant, because people think, oh, this must be real. A,
this doesn't sound fake. And B, it wouldn't shock me that someone had this belief. And C, if it is fake, why would you put your face on a video that's going to make you look this crazy? Yeah. I mean, you couldn't get a job after this.
You know, she thought this through, and she goes, that's a really good point. Why don't they? We'll get to why don't they here in a second.
That's why he's called a donor.
Yeah.
So I was like, whatever, that's fine. Just give me, some child support. And she said, did you not hear me? I have no legal obligation to this child. I'm not going to pay child support.
And here we go.
So now I'm trying to get the sperm donor to pay child support. Because biologically, he is my daughter's parent. So I want him to give me his half. I don't know what to do at this point.
He donated.
He's a donor.
You ask him for some sperm. He gave you some because you asked for it. And now he thought you and your girlfriend were going to get married and raise this child.
No, the donor probably has no idea who actually gets this specimen.
That's true.
He goes there and donates and walks away saying, well, I just made $25, $50, whatever it costs at that point. To splooge into a cup.
Yeah, it's cheap.
And then the sperm bank says, okay, well this lady would like insert said sperm. Yeah. Here you go.
Yeah. Well, sure.
No, that in my opinion, the responsibility ended at the cup.
Yes, that's what the whole idea of donating sperm is about. You're helping people who can't get pregnant. That's your donate. Well, you're donating your sperm. You're getting paid $25 for it or whatever, but you're not responsible for wherever the sperm goes and whoever uses it to remedy their situation, which is what he provided them, a remedy for their situation. They weren't allowed to have, they couldn't have children. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm sorry your girlfriend broke up with you, but maybe you should have married her. And then she would have had some sort of legal,
Yeah.
I'm all for gay marriage.
Brian DeMarco says, Christ, I thought about doing that in grad school. I'm glad I didn't.
I think you'd be okay. There's no way legally that's going to happen.
Joey says, yeah, exactly. Joey says the donations are anonymous. This is fake then. Well,
that's not true. They're not all anonymous, by the way.
They're anonymous from the sense of the donor.
You can actually, if you have a really good, let's say you have you need a sperm donor, you can pick your sperm. Let's say you have a friend who's like got a 190 IQ. You can go ask friend to go donate. So maybe she knows them. So I mean, it's possible.
I believe, and don't give me, I might be wrong on this, but I believe the people going there to acquire said specimen actually can find out information about the donor.
Yes.
Find out, you know, what race, if they have any medical issues, their height, stuff like that.
Their
various
IQ?
aspects, because you may not necessarily want specific attributes. I'm just saying.
Well, I am just saying.
It's not necessarily not. You may not necessarily know the person's name, although I think they may actually give the recipient the donor's name if they want it.
I can tell you this for sure because I've known a couple that did this. Because the parent, the man he was shooting blanks.
Sure.
They had a specific friend of theirs who was very successful with 6 foot whatever, and they asked him specifically to be the donator. You can do that. And he said yes. And so he went and donated it. So how about that one doctor who decided to use the sperm as the donor and had 83 kids? Well, yeah.
That was a gynecologist, I think it was whoever does it. Gynecologist here in Indianapolis. Like it was like Zionsville or something like that. Westfield. Yeah.
Yep.
He was extremely fertile.
He was he was donating left and right. Oh, everybody have my donation. All right.
Yeah, sorry. I could just think of the number of videos you may have seen at some hub where it shows somebody going in for an exam and all of a sudden it leads to something else,
Right. All right.
Yeah.
Soccer time, I think.
Well, not necessarily. Since we're on the concept of sperm, I guess we might want to stay on this for just at least a brief second.
You would of course want to stay on the sperm.
Why not? You sent this to me, Derek.
That's true. You remember the show Kramer, Kudlow and Kramer? They used to be on Business CNN or whatever it was. So, when I said I was going to eat crow, and obviously I'm not going to go kill a crow because that's not easy to do. And it would be really a horrible thing to do. So I just ate chicken when I had to eat crow.
Black chicken, right?
But yeah, at least I did. Right. And I mean, I know we were talking about buying a sex doll and all that for one of those shows back in the day, but those were jokes. This is, I'm sure, a joke, but this is not what I would ever post. I will suck off a horse on live TV because GME hit 1,000 today and went over 1,000. So Jim Cramer will need to now suck off a horse on live TV. Live TV. Of course, he's not going to do that. So what's the other options he has to at least placate that commitment? What could he do? Suck a dildo?
Do what we did, Derek, and make an animated short of it.
I don't think he's going to do that either. I don't think he's a very good cartoonist, although he could hire somebody, I guess, to do that. But don't say things like this. Like, I mean, if Kramer's shit anyhow, let's just be really honest. He's been wrong about so many things over the years. It's just been ridiculous. So don't make commitments like this. Nobody wants to watch that, by the way. Nobody wants to watch him do that.
Well, he says, no, it didn't. It closed at 28. Brian DeMarco says, no, it didn't. It didn't get close.
Oh, all right. Well, all the other people that said it did, I guess. I don't know why they posted this then. Why did they post this? To make fun of him and say, okay, I guess you got to do this now live on TV. I don't know. Anyhow, we'll see what happens. But I would never make a commitment like that. That's just too much. I don't even know.
Just looking at some of the comments on the side there.
I don't even know what GME is, honestly. I have no clue. General Motors Enterprises? I don't know. All right. We'll move on.
Well, sort of. feel like the entire that team from Columbus may have endured some poor seamen with the way they performed. Apparently,
yeah, I watched that game. It's not like the Columbus wasn't competitive for good stretches of that game. They were pretty darn good. But according to Charles Bim, my players gave everything, said Wilford, knowing that they were sick also. All the team had diarrhea since yesterday. The whole team. That's crazy. Like, drink the water from your bottles. Don't drink the water wherever you're at. I don't know. The staff also. Don't get me wrong. That is fact. I'm not here to tell you Pachuca didn't deserve to win. They scored 3 goals. Okay, but my players gave everything. I thought they did. I thought they played as hard as they could. But now knowing that they were probably shitting their pants while they were playing, that kind of puts it in a different frame, doesn't it? GME is GameStop, apparently. Okay. Thank you, Jackie D. So
I didn't think GameStop was still relevant at this point, ever since the what was it, a couple years ago where it spiked.
Yeah,
I didn't think that was still going on.
I don't know.
I don't either.
But diarrhea is a bitch. It's
they went. Was this at Pachuca?
Did they all go to the same restaurant? Did they all order in the same food?
There was an open spring. You can go and fill up your water bottles. Apparently,
I mean, you got to be extra careful. I don't get it. Like, go out and buy some groceries. Don't eat the hotel food or whatever caused them this issue. Don't eat the hotel food. Go out, get some groceries, and cook your own food in the suite, and have the whole team come in or whatever. I don't know. You got to be careful, or don't drink the water. Whatever it was that made this happen.
Kind of catering available to them and everything there, man. I went to I've been to Cancun, enjoyed some all-inclusive hotel use, and never had an issue.
Did you drink the water, or did you drink bottled water?
I don't remember. I drank a lot of beer and booze.
I think you're fine.
I was stock. We had an open bar in our room because it was all inclusive. We had 5 different fifths in our room. And needless to say, our suitcase going on the way back was a bit heavier. A couple of handful of fifths.
Yeah, I mean,
once you consumed a fifth, they would just replace it the next day. So
yeah, but they also charge you for it.
No, they don't. It's all inclusive. You pay it up front.
Oh,
you pay whatever is like $2,000.
It's a package deal. Yeah,
you get to drink and eat whatever the fuck you want.
Man, that's risky for them. Because think about it. What if you're like downing a fifth a night?
You're paying something like $2,000 for the week, though. So I mean,
yeah, just gotta be.
I feel like they're still coming out ahead there.
You gotta be, but you gotta be careful. This isn't Cancun. That's not where Pachuca's.
That's fair.
That's not where that is. And
we did go out to one of the clubs over in Cancun, and this is right when Evie and I first started dating, actually. So there's a guy inside the club that took advantage of all the tourists, and they took photos, and then they put the photos on top of a little flask of a little glass flask of tequila, apparently.
Yeah.
And charged you something like $20. It was crazy, but whatever. Just started dating, whatever. Fuck it. We still have that because I'm looking at that going, that's just piss water. They just filled it up at the urinals. The urinals all drained to this thing. They scoop it out, and then it's not real tequila. I don't believe that's tequila there.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: they shouldn't have any problem identifying what the culprit was, because there is no way. I mean, if the whole team got sick, what was the one thing all of us consumed? That should be pretty easy to figure out. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Good try from Columbus. At least they did lose 3-0, but it wasn't like they totally got spanked. Like, they played okay. They had their own chances. They didn't really make it happen. But they didn't look foolish out there. But the way, I got to say this, the way they play out of the back, this is what I did learn from that. Schulte, outside of coaching, might be the most competent goalie we have with his feet. Because he made some passes in that game through 2 lines, 1 line.
Passes future. Yeah.
You think, holy crap, Matt Turner couldn't do that.
Can't.
And
Still
can't
can't.
do
What are you talking
that.
about?
I was fairly impressed by Schulte's passing with his feet.
Well, I don't think any of our aged goalkeepers could necessarily. I mean, Stefan was the closest, and even then, I'm still like, ooh.
Yeah, that made me nervous too.
So,
yeah, Johnny
it's only-
slash
good.
Johnny slash Larry for $2. Thank you, Johnny. The game was close. We'll call it a win. Go out. Yeah, it wasn't like 3-0. It could have been 3-1, 3-2, 2-1. I mean, there were some moments Columbus had opportunities. They just failed to finish. And Pachuca, they finished. They finished the job. So
Andy, we're going to be getting to that weak ass mentality shortly. Shortly.
Well, we'll see how quickly we blow through these topics.
It's just what
All right.
Columbus just did, right?
Yes. Well, they didn't really blow. No, I'm not going to say that.
Fair enough.
They competed. They lost, but they competed with diarrhea in their pants. All right.
All right. Well, we're going to be moving on. We're moving on to one of our favorite segments of the show.
Okay.
We have it every show almost, especially of late here.
Do not panic. Do not panic. Cap them now. Cap them now. All right. Doing that.
I'd like to go out and say thanks to Derek for going out and being active on Twitter and tagging me on these things. I have been super busy at work past handful of days with iPad collections and iPad cleanups.
Yeah.
My son came to work with me today, and there's no way in hell I was able to take a few moments to go venture into the Twitter sphere to partake in looking for these, dual nap panics and these transfer newses. So thank you, Derek. Appreciate that.
Oh, thank you, Brett, for giving me a prop there. I gotta say, it's
sucks having to do it.
Yes. That means I'm on Twitter way longer than I want to be.
Oh.
How many dumb things do I have to read to get to the good stuff?
My life has become increasingly better.
Don't have to be on Twitter. Yeah, so you do have to dig. And in the digging process, you do dig up a lot of moronic things. But on this one, excuse me, Athletic Club just made a move for 07 midfielder Janti Oiharakabe. I believe I got that right.
Ball?
Oiharakabe.
That's B-A-L at the end. Wouldn't it be like ball?
Oh, that's an L?
That's an L.
Or Oiharakabel. Cabel. Yeah, Cabal? Oiharakabal. Yeah, it could be that. Okay. Is that what that? I can't see the umlaut. Is there an umlaut?
There's no umlaut at all.
Oh, then it's just a little dirt speck on my screen. All right. From Real Sociedad, born in Hendaye in the French Basque country. Previously shared, it appears his dad is a Basque heritage Californian who played basketball at Stanford. Okay. Well, that's digging deep, brother. I got to say that.
I guess.
That is digging way deep. That's like,
Wait a second. Does it mention how old this dual nat is? 07, that's right.
07, so young, very young. U.S. ballers abroad probably better be careful with what he's doing. Don't ogle too hard. Don't get too close. Don't touch.
It's too many of us. Yeah. Thank you, Nye. We got a new Wonder Kid, right?
Wonder Kid! Holy shit! Oh, I see that.
Go ball from Mortal Kombat, yeah.
I see that Bogert stopped using the word Wonder Kid.
I feel like he must. I jokingly say these people watch our shows, but something has to be getting back to them.
Must be.
Somebody has to say, hey man, these guys over here, smaller YouTube channel, mocking you about the Wonder Kid thing. Maybe just pull it back a bit.
Wunderkinder. Yeah, it gets a little old, man. Not everybody can be a Wonder Kid. Jesus.
We need a Wonder Kid segment.
Can we wait until
I feel like isn't that our dual nat panic? Really, it's basically it has to be like right up in there. I mean, we're not really worried about like the 22 to 28-year-old dual nat panics,
right?
Right?
Yeah, but people were coming all over the walls when Kevin Sullivan played for Philly 2 recently. It's like, okay, I get it. He's 14 and playing for Philly 2. It's still Philly 2. It's Philly 2. Okay. Let's not get too excited. Let's see how it goes. Derek knows Alabama or Brooks and Dunn. I know you're talking about the state. Of course I know, but the band?
The band Alabama.
Didn't they do I'm trying to remember any of their songs. I don't really know Brooks and Dunn much. Don't. Just going to admit it straight up. No idea who they are. But they're obviously... So if you're talking about me in country music or whatever in general, or sort of Southern vibe music, I'm kind of a Johnny Cash guy. I'm kind of the old school country. I can't really deal with anything, in the 80s and beyond.
I don't dabble in the country at all.
Doing that panic, wank it now. That's a new one, Leverhead. We'll keep that in mind. All right. So that's that. Do you got any more?
Yes.
More Doing That Panic?
But I don't have it pulled up. Here we go.
Jeremiah Oshan says, Obed Vargas on declining call up to USA's U19 teams. Let me phrase this exactly how Obed would have said this. Right now, my focus is on the Sounders. My aim was the Olympic team, but fuck those guys. They didn't pick me. But I think that door is kind of closed now because fuck them. They're dumb. For me, to go into the U19s or U20 camps is embarrassing. I should be on the Olympic team, and this is dumb. I don't see the point of missing games with the Sounders where I'm playing a lot from some stupid fucking U19 camp or U20 camp when I should be on the Olympic team, which is a total oversight and disgrace. That's what he meant to say in this.
Well, if he wants to think that, but I feel like there are better players that were left off over him. So
no, I agree. I'm just saying how he's feeling. I'm projecting his feeling there. That's why he told the U19s and U20s to go fuck themselves.
I'm no longer on the Olympics, so I'm keeping my door open with Mexico, right?
And then I gave him the chance. I said I'd play on the Olympic team. They said, no, you're not good enough. He said, I say, fuck you then.
Well, and I don't disagree with him, quite frankly, because if you're playing with the U20s and U23s prior to now, why would you need to continue with the U20s? And I feel like the Sounders games are going to be more beneficial for him as long as he's starting and playing consistently than it would be a couple of games with the U20s.
He's basically saying,
I agree with him.
Don't come at me with this U20 shit. That's a step backwards, bitches. That's what he's saying. That's what he's saying. Don't come at me with that. I'm good enough for the U23 team. Shit, he's probably thinking. I'm good enough for the actual big boy team. Or will be at some point. So make me take steps backwards.
No.
That's what he's saying. Okay.
It's a U20 camp. When did it become like the U19 and U16? When did that all start happening? Whatever happened to this is the U17s. This is U20s we're talking about, U23s.
I think it's been evolving for some time where they keep adding more age groups. Because it used to be like every couple years, you'd have like the U17s, U19s, U21s, U23s. But now it's like every step has a U.
Is the coach of the U19 camp different from the U20s?
No, don't kid yourself on that. No.
Okay, then what's the point is my question.
They can barely hire youth coaches right now. They just, they've been struggling to do that. Maybe that's changed since they said, okay, we're just kidding about you have to come live in Chicago thing.
Yeah.
Remember? Because
now won't matter because now they have to move to Atlanta.
Right.
And I guarantee you all the people who said fuck you to moving to Chicago are probably going like, I'll move to Atlanta. Sure, why not?
Yeah, better weather in the winter for sure in Atlanta. No doubt. Yeah.
A little hot and humid in the summer, but get over that.
Yeah, you can get over that. It's called air conditioning. But, driving in the winter in Chicago with ice slick roads and 13 below, that sucks. I know.
There's no bueno.
I've done it. Because we would do, my band would do a little mini tour and during the winter sometimes. And we would go up to Chicago and play. And in the middle of winter, it was brutal. Absolutely brutal. I didn't have to drive, thankfully. Because we had the band van, the big van, right?
Mm.
So, and truck. And so I didn't have to drive. And plus, the guys are always worried about me because I drank too much during the shows. So they're like, yeah, Derek shouldn't bring a car anyhow on the tours. He drinks too much at the shows. All right.
That's their problem. That sounds like a they problem, not a you problem.
I know. I made it their problem. And they became the solution. All right. Which is great. I know. It's a selfish thing to do. It's selfish. I'm a drinker. I don't know.
Like I always say, it's only a problem if you're not good at it.
Yeah, I mean, we had a couple guys in the band that didn't drink at all, so they almost always ended up being the designated drivers on the tours. So
there we go. I mean,
they were stoners.
Choice.
They were stoners. They were wake and bakers, but they weren't drinkers. So
let's see what you're saying.
Wake and bacon. Whew, you can't do that for very long. Becoming moron. All right.
Moving on up.
Transfer news. Transfer news. Who's getting mounted on transfer news? Who's getting over on transfer news? Transfer news. Everyone loves that transfer news but me.
Whatever.
Your testes. That's what's being monitored. All right. So it was mostly middle school fake gossip about Chandler. One football.
Chandler is re-signing an extension with Frankfurt.
Oh,
extending his contract with Frankfurt.
That's really surprising. I'm glad to hear it for Timmy, who I consider a almost
brother.
like a brother. Yes. So good to hear. My mom certainly considers him to be
he's
like
a brother from not another mother, I guess. It'd be the same mother, right?
My mom considers him to be a son. So there you go. But yeah, I mean,
very much a younger brother, though.
Yes.
Much.
Very younger. Yes. But he's beloved in Frankfurt by his teammates, the staff, the administration. They love Timmy Chandler. Like, if you don't know anything about Timmy Chandler in real life, he's a jokester. He's a comedian. He's a prankster. He's fun. He's a good guy to have on the team. He works with the young players and helps them grow. This is great. Good news for Timmy. He gets to stay in the city of his choice. He loves Frankfurt. So good for him.
And just briefly jumping back to the last conversation, because I wasn't paying attention as I moved over to the new song there.
Winkle Gonzalez says, if the Federation keeps getting Obed Vargas and Brian Gutierrez a denied call, then they might switch to Eltree, and I don't want that. I get it. I do get that. However, you have to stop for a second and ask yourself this before you worry about that too much. Are Obed Vargas and Brian Gutierrez like 100% locked U.S. men's national team players going forward? Nah. No, they're not. They got about 20% chance. I understand if you want to risk 20%. And I'm not trying to offend Brett because he's a Chicago Fire guy, but I don't think that they're locks.
Well, they're not locks. No. And I agree with Untouchables here, where he says Brian Gutierrez just makes shit happen. He's a poor man's Gio.
Yes.
And I've said this a number of times. If you watch Gutierrez play, the way he moves around the pitch reminds me so much of Gio. Now, mind you, it's not as good as Gio.
Right.
By any means.
Sure.
He's that type of player is what I'm trying to allude to.
And right now at his position, you got Tillman, both Tillmans. Then you got as well, of course, Reyna. So it's like, it's not like, and then other players that can play CAM, like Brendan and Luna, and lots of guys fighting for that potential creative spot right in the midfield.
I'm curious. How will the Tillman do last season? Timothy Tillman do last season?
He did all right. He started off on fire and then faded.
4 goals and 2 assists.
Started off on fire and faded. That's what he did.
I'm just saying that Gucci had a much better season.
Gucci's
on a shittier fucking team.
He's way more important for Chicago than Tillman is for LAFC. There's no doubt that Gutierrez is a much more important player. Now, the other question you have to ask yourself is Mexico really going to go get these guys?
They may go ahead and bring those guys over and cap them as options, but I don't think that they're, as we've seen with all the other Mexican Americans who make the switch over to Mexico, it rarely ever pays out for them there.
Although Efrain Alvarez just scored in the friendly this weekend,
Alvarez.
They played
still
Bolivia. They played Bolivia with their sort of B team.
Where's Efrain?
Team.
Where's Efrain playing at?
He's in Mexico, but he doesn't play. He plays in Liga MX. He doesn't play though.
That feels like a throwback. So throw to him at that point. Like, we appreciate that you made the one-time switch. Here's a non-call. You know?
Yeah, because he eats way too many Twinkies to ever be a regular call-up for Mexico. Although this is indeed the worst Mexican team in our lifetimes, I still think it's a tough thing that we're going to all sit around and worry about Mendez and worry about Gutierrez and worry about all these different players that are doing that. Mexican Americans. There's so many, like, we can't just go capping all those guys or continue to call them up, even though they're not performing on a level good enough for the U.S. men's national team. Or in this case, apparently the Olympics, right? So,
I think both Guti and Luna need to get out of MLS at this point.
Yes, there's tons of players need to get out of MLS right now, including Tolkien. Get out. Wiley, get out. You've hit a ceiling. It's not going to get much better here. If you want to take it to the next level, you got to go to Holland, go to Germany, go somewhere. You got to test yourself, because we saw Caleb Wiley. He has definitely hit a MLS plateau, and he's not getting any better right now, and that needs to change, even though he had a decent game. Last couple games have been pretty good. Busio back in 2022 after signing contract extension with Venezia. So this is kind of hearkening back to when he signed that agreement in 2022. I want to be part of the team that will fight for promotion. I'm really excited for this year. There were offers and interest from other places, but my heart is in Venice. I mean, Jesus, he lives in Venice.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've been to Venice,
worse places to stay, right?
Venice is, it's like heaven on earth, okay? And I really wanted to stay here and work for our goal and make the fans happy again. Well, he and Tessman will be in Venice next season, playing in Serie A. Exciting stuff.
It's interesting because, again, harkening back to the summer after the 2022-2023 season. It would have been the 21-22 season when they got relegated. We had sat there and said, well, I don't honestly think there were options for Busio.
There were.
Well, he's saying there were, apparently.
But they were back to MLS.
That's possible. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but I mean, it's possible maybe he garnered some interest in a lesser league in Europe. I don't know.
Not really.
But there were
options. I mean, maybe, a lesser league, sure.
Sure. Lesser than Italy, we'll put it that way, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. It would take a big pair of pliers to get me plucked out of Venice. I'm just saying. And not to mention that Venezia has the baddest ass fucking kit. On the planet.
Their jersey is absolutely one that I've contemplated on purchasing.
I mean, it's just flat out.
It looks clean.
Yeah. It's fat. It's beautiful. Fat PHAT. Awesome. All right. So good to see the boys are going to stay in Venezia. So, Venezia are going to ward off all the people who were courting Tessman. They'll pay him. They'll re-sign him. They'll pay him more. They better. He's been the heart and soul of this team all season in that central midfield spot. He does it all, box to box for them. He did it all season. There's like one or two games he didn't start. Busio, to his credit, had to fight his way, right? Fight his way onto the starting lineup after losing his starting spot.
He had to earn it back, let's put it that way.
And he had injuries. So there's there. Judgmental Deity, I didn't know Derek could use slang. Oh, I used to do hip-hop, brother. I could do slang, but it's all outdated. It's outdated.
DMR says Derek is down with the lingo.
It's outdated. Yep, sorry. I mean, fat's what? PHAT, that's like 90s.
Yeah.
I mean,
word, Derek. Word
to your mom, Brett.
Mother. Word to your mother. You said word to your mom.
I'm sorry.
Hello, fellow kids.
I was trying to sound as white as possible.
Sure. Well, you just got to put the right emphasis on mother.
Word
right?
to your mother, Brad.
Word to your mother.
No, seriously, word. Word up. Totally, totally tubular.
So BMR is sitting here
I remember
going, rest in peace, Gio. Because apparently Dortmund's board is preparing to meet with Terzic to extend his contract.
Could be a problem for Gio, but let's be really clear. Terzic, before Gio left, because of ignorance or whatever, said, "Oh, he's not leaving. I fully expect to have him through the whole rest of the Champions League and the rest of the season." Now, I don't.
Good.
I was going to say, I don't know what he knew that the rest of us didn't, but whatever he knew was stupid. Because behind the scenes, Reyna's dad was crawling up every team's rectum he could possibly do, and along with the agent, to find a team for Gio to get out of there. So,
do you think this is that was Terzic's way of saying, "Hey, if you bolt, you're done here with me"?
Nah, I don't think
He's
so.
like, I fully suspect he's going to be here to support the club.
I really don't see Terzic as a vindictive character.
Sure.
I don't see
I
him
mean,
as
he was a professional player himself. He knows.
Yeah, I think that Gio's fine if he stays. I think he'll get chances. I really do. I don't think that
He's got to perform, though. That's the big thing, right? He's got to get the assists. He's got to get the goals. He's got to create the chances.
So that's why Reyna's dad, got to make a copy of the Nottingham Forest game on VHS or something.
On VHS. you know that because he's such a boomer in the sense that he still uses VHS.
Exactly. And then make sure that, and if you have to buy Terzic, I use VHS player, you do that. And you say, look at my son playing defense against Nottingham Forest for 30 minutes.
Terzic's looking at this going, what the fuck is this?
Look, my son can
doesn't
play.
go anywhere near my computer. I don't know this drive. What is that drive for?
I'm sure there's still RCA imports on TVs, right? There still are. I bought a new one. It has RCA imports.
Just
So
for this nostalgia crowd who also have the record players. So that's a bit different because records actually make music sound better where VHSs do not make the video look better.
Yeah, but what if your giant porn collection is all on VHS?
You take that into a company who can make.
Oh, I'm going to take my porn collection to a company. Yeah, right. Okay,
absolutely. That'd be the best. That'd be the best. You better record that shit with like a hidden camera because that would be hysterical.
That would be funny.
You start putting down like, oh, this is just from '99. Hold on, I got 2000 in the back.
I show up with 22 boxes, completely full and loaded of VHS tapes.
Can you guys scan my Playboys and send that to me digital too?
Playboy, what a joke. Playboy. I mean, Playboy, that's just going to the beach in Germany as Playboy. That's such a joke. We're such prudes in the United States that boobies excite us. It's crazy. All right. So anyhow, it's not the death of Gio. We'll see what happens. I don't think this necessarily means Gio goes anywhere. We got to see which players. Well, Royce is gone, right?
Sure.
So, I mean,
there are at least a handful of players. Weren't necessarily Royce was obviously the starter, but there are a handful of bench players that were vying for playing time that are gone too.
Yeah.
At this point,
I don't think we can really say. We'll see who they sign and who they release. Because
and Sancho's gone. Thank you, Digital.
Right. They sell a lot and they don't buy that much. Usually they buy older players for defense and younger players for midfield and offense. So we'll see what happens. And maybe it's not all over. Maybe they sit down with Gio and say, listen, this wasn't great what happened last season. I know why you wanted to leave. You shouldn't have. But now that you're here, we're going to, of course, give you a chance to fight for a starting spot on this team.
So that brings me to another question, because I had this conversation with somebody like a week ago or something like that, because they're like, and somebody watches our show, so if you're in the chat, please let me know, because I'd like to call you out by name. No, but they're simply saying the point of it would have been better for Gio to stay at Dortmund, because then he could have been potentially playing in the Champions League finals.
Potentially.
And I'm like, well, he was in a relative. I'm going to use a phrase I hate, but he's a relatively toxic situation that he didn't like being in because Terzic didn't rate him as a player on at least his defensive abilities. And he needed somewhere new. The exposure to EPL, I think, was a benefit in the sense that he's learned now that there are going to have to be other aspects to his game that he's going to have to pick up in order to play at the highest level.
I agree. And I don't think that like Dortmund was toxic for him. I mean, you used that word and you're like kind of didn't want to use it.
It's painful to say, really.
But I think the word you're looking for maybe would be he felt a little pushed aside, right? Obviously, he didn't feel valued would be the way I would put it. Yeah. In the way he feels he should be valued. And now he's gone somewhere else. And they've kind of said the same thing like, well, we value some of this, but now we're in the end of the season in must-win games, and we're going to value the guys that are going to be at their consequences if we go down, and we're going to play them first before we play you.
Yeah.
And so he learned a lot. I'm sure he's had to grow up. In fact, Matt Turner in the interview said, one thing I saw in his time is he worked hard at practice, really hard. And
with a great attitude, yeah. We talked about this on Thursday's show.
Yeah, he never got down. He, just kept, his focused on.
And you can see that on the clips that Forrest put out. Every time they showed Gio, he was having fun. He was smiling more. He was enjoying himself. Now, he would have preferred more playing time, of course, but he was enjoying himself while he was there.
No sulking at all. So there's that. And if you're not sulking, because we saw sulking, even in the clips at the World Cup, we saw the rest of the team excited, blah, 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 going through the hotel lobby. And what did we see, Gio? Headphones on, frown on his face. Yeah. So there you go. That's gone.
BMR says sooner or later, Gio is going to have to look at himself. 100% agree.
Yes. And I think
he's going to need to step up. He's going to need to start producing.
Yep. I say that means listening to the manager and saying, I'm going to do whatever you tell me to do, and I'm going to do it the best I can.
Yeah.
And I think there is a little bit of prima donna, obviously, in Reyna, and we want some of that, right? You want that confidence, but you also got to have enough self-awareness to look at the mirror, as you said, and say, all right, there's some things I need to commit to when the manager says, this is what I want from you. And I'm going to, you need to commit to it. So,
and from one manager to the next, it's not always going to be the same. So while one manager may have played you one way, the next manager comes in and he's asking you to do something different. You've got to buck up and do it. Yep. Even if it means that maybe you're not going to be as high in the pitch, creating those chances, it's going to happen.
Right. I mean, we watched him play left midfielder for Nottingham Forest. And yeah, he wasn't as high up the pitch as you would like. And he did have to play a lot of defense, especially against Fulham. So, that's a good lesson for him to learn. I hope he took as much as possible away from that experience as he could. And I think he did. Well, he is getting older now. He is going to be less, you would think, more thoughtful and less emotional as he moves forward.
Yeah, and as we're looking into the this off season, obviously the big question is going to be will Dortmund be able to convince him to stay? Because I'm sure they'd like to re-sign him a new contract. Gio's probably got some interest that he wants to go and venture out from Dortmund. We'll see what happens. He's got Copa to make the biggest case for himself.
Statement, yes.
Yeah. And I mentioned this as well on Twitter. I said, at this, I was talking about Gio comment, and I was like, well, at this point, he's going to have to come in firing at firing his gun on all cylinders, whatever, firing his car on all cylinders, whatever it is.
It's gone.
I can't even think of the fucking phrases now. He's got to shoot from the hip and come out in Copa and make a statement. Hey, I'm a fucking major player here. Sign me.
Well, he did that in the last tournament, so just do it again. And obviously, Greg's going to give him the time to do that. Turner said he's in perfect tip-top shape. He can go 90. So we'll see. Eldon Hashik, thank you very much for the $5, brother. Terzic is a good man manager. Look at what he did rehabilitating Sancho. If Gio rolls up his sleeves like McKennie, he can earn PT at Dortmund. I would agree with that. I don't think it's personal between Terzic and Reyna. It's not.
It's not like Pulisic and Tuchel.
Yeah, that's not personal, but it's like you've typecast the player already. And so if you typecast a player, then you're like, yeah, he's a bench guy.
Well, hopefully Terzic was watching the games or at least the highlights of Gio. Hopefully it's somebody at Dortmund, covers their players who are on.
Oh, they did. Yeah.
And show the highlight reel more or less of what he's doing, what he was doing at Forest. So
the defense mostly, because that's where they were worried about him.
Because that was the typecast that's being thrown, just like with Tuchel and Pulisic, where it's like, oh, I've always seen him as a super sub, so just continue playing him as a super sub. Terzic can watch the highlight reels and see that he's capable of playing in the defense, whether it was with the United States national team or whether it was with Forest. He's capable of defending. Then you can figure out a way to utilize him. Maybe not necessarily as a starter at first, but he can work his way back up to that point.
Yep.
So.
By the way,
see what happens. We had a fun couple months here.
320 people watching right now. Make sure if you're on YouTube, you like and subscribe. Do whatever the similar thing is.
If you're on Twitter, comment, share, and like the thread, if you will.
And we're trying to get better at saying these things because we don't. I know the other shows do it like on a regular. Before the show, middle show, after show, we always forget to do it because we're just having fun on the show. All right. Little sucker, you should be ashamed. Get out. What? To whom?
So here is this chap. Well, imagine he's a fan of Dortmund. I don't know how I could come to that conclusion.
I don't know.
But he's
French. I mean, go back up. It's in French. Petit sucre faut avoir honte dégage. That's French. So he's French, and why is he?
Dortmund. Maybe he's German who lives in French.
No, there's no German flag there. It's a
fair enough. Maybe
Palestinian and French flag.
But clearly, with his thumbnail, he is a Dortmund fan somehow. Don't know.
I mean, it's possible, but weird.
His issue is you think, well, Jude Bellingham's celebrating winning the Champions League. You think maybe nope, he's talking that Gio Reyna gave him 3 hearts.
That's just weird.
Basically Gio shouldn't have congratulated one of his better friends,
his best friend,
one of his best friends in Europe.
Yes.
As having just won the Champions League, despite the fact that it's against his current club, actually, but still, I'm sure if you go through this picture, you'd probably see a lot of current, not a lot. You'd probably see some current or maybe even former Dortmund fans that have played with Jude that would still, saying, "Hey, congratulations."
I mean, Fumar says that's the Egyptian flag. By the way, I think it's so small I can barely see it.
Oh. Yeah, no, it's Palestine.
That's very tiny.
Flag of Palestinian territories.
Yeah. Okay, I thought I got it right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I mean, even Bellingham said in the interview, they asked him who his best friend was, and he said Reyna.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know.
Best buddies, you're going to congratulate them, even if Gio was with Dortmund. I mean, you still say, "Hey, good game."
Yeah, of course. What's
wrong with that?
I don't know.
You're not going to sit there and go like, you were better than all of us, but I don't know.
Yep.
But BMR says Gio should have been smarter. It's true. I mean, you have to consider, maybe you send a text message to Jude, or maybe not necessarily make it so public in the sense.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
Like some people are going to get their noses tweaked by this.
But if he said nothing in public, then people are like, man, what a small guy. He couldn't even congratulate his teammate.
It's kind of a tough situation to be in, really.
Fucking tough. Fuck this dude. That's who gets the fuck, not Reyna. Reyna's just celebrating one of his best friends winning. according to Jude, his best friend too. So yeah, this is bullshit. Guy's a twat. This is the ultimate definition of what a twat looks like.
What's the French word for twat?
Twat.
Le twat.
Le twat.
So yeah. I don't know.
And that's
really. I know. Broken probably posted this before I even said le twat.
And that's really an offense to twats all over the world. To be honest with you, this guy's worse than that. I don't know what personal vendetta he has against Reina. It's like not Reina's fault.
Yeah,
Dortmund
the
fans
Wizards, right? Yeah,
love Gio. Yeah, most of them do. And
I don't think a lot of people are going to look at this and throw a huge hissy fit. And I don't think that they're going to be like, "Oh, you motherfucker, you need to get out of our club."
You know what's petite? Universe Dortmund's little cock. That's what it is. COQ. His Le Coq Sportif.
Bimar, I agree with you in the sense that this by him congratulating it was going to tweak some fans' noses. I don't think a lot of fans are probably going to look at that and say, like, you know, what the hell is this? They're probably already fully aware that they're like best friends. So I don't know.
I like this. US Expat says, we need an updated situation article about Gio from Jeff Carlisle. Blackmail! Blackmail!
Well, speaking of Gio news, we got more Gio news.
Okay, congratulations.
The chap is getting engaged.
Engaged, yeah. Good for him.
I didn't even know he was dating anybody.
Oh, some horrible comments. Jesus. I mean, what's wrong with people? They're like...
in here, there is?
Not here, but other places that posted it. They're like, she's got no boobs and whatever. It's like, what, dude? What? So what? Not all women have big boobs. It's not a big fucking deal. What is she supposed to have? At least she doesn't look like she was created by AI. No offense, McKenny. She looks like a real woman, a real lady. Is she German? I bet she's German.
Huh? She's definitely not British by those teeth.
She's had good dentistry. Probably gonna. I would bet she's German. What's her name? Do we know her name? We don't know her name.
Chloe Ortolano.
Ortolano is not German at all. So.
I feel like he must have known her. No, that'd be weird because he would have known her from like 16 years old.
Yeah,
stateside.
She might play for the Dortmund women's team.
Nope, never mind. Somebody just beat me to it. I guess she is American.
All right.
Argentinian?
Ortolano. She's American. I wonder where he met her. I mean, listen, it's not like there aren't thousands of Americans that live in Dortmund. There are. Mm-hmm. There are tons of Americans that live in Germany. So, I mean, I just don't know how he would have met her otherwise because he's not been in the United States very often. He's here like 2.5, 3 months out of the year, two at best, right? And some of that's spent playing with the U.S. men's team. So I don't know when you have the time to go meet someone, but good for him. That's all I got to say. And good for her, whoever she is.
She's Argentinian American. Do Argentinians do arranged marriages?
No. Mm-mm. No, they do not. All right.
Melvin says, Googled her. She was on University of Providence, 2022. Wham.
Women's team, I'm guessing. Soccer circles are hella small.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really care. I'm not into the gossip or anything like that. But good for him. It's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like when I think it was Trusty announced too. Congratulations! They go to all the players who announced this. Good for them.
Yep, good for all of them. Pulisic is still
we're going to be talking about Pulisic shortly.
Angel, that was not nice.
Angel.
I guess that we brought that us on ourselves though, because we said it. Okay. You see Pulisic visited Gioacchini. I did not see that. But nice of him to do so. He does need the...
I don't see the extra C in Gioacchini there, though.
Gioacchini.
Huh. Who's that? I don't know who that is.
I will not stand for Pulisic slander, says S27.
Yeah.
We don't. Yeah, I think we spotted Pulisic with a gal though recently too, right?
Yeah. We'll be pulling that up here shortly when we get to the Pulisic topic.
Why? We're still on Reina?
No, we're done with the Reina's conversation.
Okay.
We're actually done with all of the. You know what? I knew I missed one of the topics. Was this it? Oh yeah, this came way late.
Okay.
Let's just get moved over there. Let me move this topic real quick and then pull it up. Because I was like, man, I remember having a McKinney thread pulled up.
Okay.
So Otaku here says, we don't know how reliable these rumors of Weston being linked to Aston Villa are, so we'll have to wait. We'll have to wait from what? Wait, what?
We'll have to wait from reliable sources have to say.
That's a weird way of wording that, I think.
Yes. Okay,
fair enough. But that's Otaku. That's not your MO. Your MO is you take the rumors and you credit the person who came up with them, but you put them out there. And so I don't want to see this. I don't know how reliable this is. You're
tiptoeing around.
I'm not throwing any shade or hate. You go out and do the dirty work as far as finding these rumors and you post them so that we have content. We appreciate that, but don't start questioning your sources.
Mm-hmm. Let's keep posting them up.
Let's get that shit out there, man. We'll post that.
Like a fucking a lawnmower.
Wait a second. How reliable are these Otaku? Let's see. You quote this guy. I don't know who he is. That's what we do.
But he says one thing I'm noticing is the fact that a lot of Villa fans are calling him terrible. We told you that on this show because they're bringing up the last time Leeds United. Yes, that was the one thing we told you here on the show is that all of the other teams now just look at the Leeds experience with McKennie because they don't watch Italian soccer. They don't watch Juventus. Yeah. And they're like, he's shit. We don't want him.
Well, that was like all the times we pulled up all the lead fans who post. They'll be like, yeah, I was in Rome with some friends and we decided to catch the Juve game and I was telling them about this fat player that used to play for us, and then we went and go watch it. I got 2 assists in that game.
Yeah,
and I'm like, yeah, I know not saying that Weston was great at Leeds, but it was also the fact that Leeds were just bad.
Leeds were bad, and they were asking McKennie to be the star player on the team. He's never had to do that on any team he's been on. They're asking him to do all the business in the middle, not something he's used to doing. Of course it's going to fail, and it did fail. And he did come in a little overweight.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not taking all the credit and giving it to Weston here by any means. I'm not saying, hey, Weston did no wrong. He certainly did enough wrong. He wasn't in the tip-toppest of shapes. I'm not saying he wasn't in bad shape. I mean, he could still last 90 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
I guarantee you 95% of the English fans that were criticizing him on that couldn't last 90 minutes in a game, even in a Sunday pub league. So I don't know. He came in overweight. Didn't look great because, again, as you mentioned, being asked to play out of position, he wasn't that role, and that wasn't why they brought him in either, because Jesse wasn't going to play him in that role.
No, he was supposed to play alongside Adams and be more of a box-to-box guy, and that never really got to do that. Mm-hmm. So he certainly played better than Roca did, but that's not saying much because Roca got benched by the end of the season.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. That's why I'm warning West. Don't go to England, please, because I don't care what team he picks. They're going to be immediately be saying, "Oh, he was horrible at Leeds. It's fucking horrible at Leeds. He sucked at Leeds. I don't want him on my team. That fat fuck Twinkie. I didn't fucking American fuck him. I didn't want him on our team." Yeah. So that's what you're going to get, loads of that. Even before you get out of the gate, you're already starting with massive negativity because they're morons there. They only watch the Premier League. That's all they watch because all the other leagues are shit. They're fucking shit. Serie A shit. That's basically, how they think about the rest of the world there. They are at the best tops. Okay, not all of them are like that. Joe, Connor.
They certainly overpay.
Joe, Connor, good guys. I like them. I think they try to be balanced and fair. But there's a lot of other just regular old fans that are just, gonna hate McKennie regardless of where he goes.
Well, like we mentioned in the similar construct here, that with Leeds not getting promoted, all of a sudden you had the big names of the fans who do the podcasting and stuff like that, the big fan sites, not necessarily changing their tune, but altering it slightly when it comes to Brendan Aronson. Saying you're like, well, if I take the emotion out, he could add some. He could be a very useful player next year in the championship, and that's the point. If you're going off emotion, I understand fans go off emotion. I mean, I'm a diehard supporter of one of the shittiest teams in MLS for the last decade, But it's if you take the emotion out and you look at the player, what they can offer you, regardless of what may have happened the previous season. I mean, clearly Leeds didn't necessarily need Brendan to get promoted. They just failed to because somehow two teams managed to score more points than 90 points.
Well, scroll up. Bimmy just said that West.
Well, real quick. I'll pull up Bimmy here in a sec, but Saul pulled up for a while. He says West can handle the pressure. He's no pussy.
Sure.
Is it necessary pressure? I mean, does he really need to?
He would be fine, but it's unnecessary. You don't need that negativity going into it. It adds extra pressure. But Bimmy said that West just re-signed with Juve. I didn't see that announcement.
This is West. He just signed a new contract with Juve.
No, he did not.
For title. I haven't been on Twitter the last 2 days, 48 hours as possible.
If West would have signed, I haven't seen shit about a new contract. His agent is right now, Bimmy, out there fighting for him to get a bigger salary. And they have turned down multiple offers from Juve. All right, already. They said that's not good enough. That's still less than he's making than players on the bench at Juve. And we will not accept that. So, I mean, unless you know something I don't, which is great. If you do, please post it because I have not heard of any new signing, no new agreement between Wes's agent and, and Juve. That battle continues. Why would he leave? I mean, he's probably not going to because he's very expensive. He's an expensive player. And I don't know who's going to be willing to shell out the $25 to $30 million. So, and then we've been talking, as Otaku said here, with this player exchange, which I think is probably
okay. So Bimmy was looking at the extension that the West may have signed, or the West signed. I think the previous year.
Yeah, but that is not what's going on right now. What's going on right now is that McKennie is saying, I don't want to come back here and play if you don't give me a better contract. And his agent is out there battling for him to do that for him. And they're not going good. Negotiations are not good. In fact, they're going so bad that West by the end of the season got benched. So there's that. Sources of cum bucket say Weston is going to re-sign with Juve.
That's by cum bucket himself. So I have to take it with a grain, not a grain of salt.
He might well end up having to sign with Juve because Juve are basically saying right now, this is a game of like chicken, right? Mm-hmm. Sign with us. Go ahead. You can test yourself in the free market. Go ahead. We'll sell you. If somebody's willing to pay $25 million for you, we will sell you. The question is, who's willing to pay $25 million for Weston? And I said on the show before, I don't think anything but the bottom half of the table in England would be willing to do it. And then they got to put up with the fucking press and media and the fans when they do. Only a handful of teams in the Bundesliga can afford that kind of money. And there's only a few teams in Serie A who can. and a handful of teams in Spain who can afford $25 to $30 million. So it's going to be rough for him to get the money he wants and then pay a higher salary than Juventus pays him. That's the other thing he wants, a higher salary. So my guess is this bluff game is going to go on, and then eventually he's just going to end up signing with Juve. Probably. His girlfriend lives in Milan. That's an hour long. His AI girlfriend lives in Milan. That's like an hour.
Well, the joy about AI girlfriends is they're digital. You just download and 3D print them in England, right?
But she's only an hour away by train, right? I'm sure he wants to stay. So this is just a game of chicken right now. And I'm going to guess Juventus is going to win this game of chicken. And he's going to end up signing on to some middle-of-the-road deal that isn't what he wants at Juventus and stay. But it's not garnering him any goodwill at Juventus, I can tell you that. They're like, we're Juventus. Why aren't you slobbering and drooling to stay with us? You know, they did this shit with him before. When he left for Nottingham Forest, they were totally pissed at him. So we'll see. Oh,
then he
no!
says 29 says he broke up with his girlfriend in a Twitter space yesterday. So.
It's no loss. He can create another one on the computer.
But I wonder if that's a hint, though, right?
Good.
Because, I mean, he's like, hey, babe, I'm on my way to England. She goes, we're going to have to see other people.
Yes. 29 is a person, by the way, whom are not a age in this case. So we'll see. I don't know why 29 is broadcasting that. Come on, Diego. Unless
he still talks in his.
I know
his spaces. He doesn't post much on Twitter anymore, really, but he definitely talks in his. He says his pieces on Spaces.
Okay, that's fine, Brett. But if you were breaking up with your wife and going through a divorce, I wouldn't publicly tweet about it.
How long has Weston been dating this AI girlfriend?
I don't know, but it's not
been like a 3 week. It could have been a 3 week fling.
It is not Diego's place to be posting shit about McKenny's personal stuff.
Maybe Wes gave him permission. You don't know that, Derek.
If he gave him permission, fine. I hardly see that to be true. All right. I think Mota style would fit McKenny perfectly. I think he should stay. I agree he should stay. I think he should stay. And he probably will. Because I just don't think the money is out there.
I mean, the only thing I think of is if they make a lesser transfer amount with a trade. Like the one we had posted. If you trade him for another player between the team and say, hey, give me this guy and $12 million.
Right.
That could be a viable option.
Can you explain this one to me? So aside, Wes can get anybody he wants. He's not crying like you, Derek. Who's crying? I ain't crying.
We're like, he shouldn't be talking about his personal life. And I'm thinking Saul saying, Wes isn't probably overly concerned. He's like, he's 25 years old. He's a professional football player. If this AI girlfriend didn't work out, there's probably gonna be plenty of AI girlfriends. And
that's just what I said. That's exactly what I said, though. I said he's just going to go out and get a new one.
Yeah, but I heard you get a little choked up when you said it there, man.
Was I crying?
A little bit. I think a tear slightly came down, and then
I might have pissed in my pants a little too. All right.
But you're just excited the AI girlfriend's available now.
I am definitely not. Zero excitement for that. Absolutely zero.
Hey, babe, come check out my place.
Could give two twiddle ducks. Nothing.
Untouchable says Wes's AI girlfriend has a USB port.
I like the other one too. Derek was banging 4 chicks a week at Weston's age.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it that high. It wasn't that high. No way.
Three?
Nah. 1. Maybe 2 sometimes.
His girlfriend is Megan and she's gonna start killing peeps. It was based off of a movie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't listen. All I was saying is unless Wes gave Diego approval to put that out, I wouldn't do it to you unless you said, Derek, I'm getting divorced. Can you tweet about that for me? Wouldn't that be weird if you asked me or you gave me approval to discuss it on Twitter.
It could have been something as simple as, me and Yolanda, or I'm making a name here. No, me and Tina are breaking up. She doesn't want to go. She doesn't want to leave England or Italy, and that's probably where I'm going to be leaving. Be leaving Italy soon.
That 1 hour train ride's a bitch.
Diego could have been like, "Yo, do you mind if I say this on Spaces?" And he's like, "I don't give a rat's ass." I wasn't emotionally invested in this.
I'm just wondering sometimes. That's all. Like, if I compare the situation, I wouldn't post something like that. Like, say you were famous and I was like, not. And you were my best buddy when you were famous, and then I started posting your personal information. Listen, it's okay. If Diego wants to do that, that's on him. It's his friend, and he'll have to deal with Wes on his own terms. I wouldn't do it. I personally wouldn't do it. If Diego wants to do it, he can do it. I got no problem.
What if Weston had posted on Instagram saying, "Yeah, it's over," and posted a picture of him and his former AI girlfriend?
I didn't.
I'm saying these are all hypothetical, Derek. I don't have any idea. I don't frequent the socials outside of X, so I don't know what. And that apparently Instagram is the only thing that Weston utilizes social wise. So I'm just saying, what if he said something publicly and then Diego publicly said it on Spaces? I don't think it makes a difference.
I don't know. Maybe he did. In that case, I think it's fine. If it's already been publicized,
yeah,
you're fine with it. If it's already news, it's like when
I think it's already news at the point.
I mean, it's like the Eric Winall thing, right? Breaking that news.
But he was on our show. I agree.
No, breaking the news about this Harks thing before anybody else did, and before he got to announce it on the television. But I was a
work our way around that topic.
I was a journalist then. I wasn't Winall's best friend, or one of his friends even. He considered me, I guess, a friend at the time, which is why I said we'll never be friends again when I wrote the story. And then we did the comedy bit about it. But all right, whatever. Fuck it. Let's move on.
Says that we should invite McBride onto the podcast. Would love to, but I feel like I don't think he's listened to our show at all.
I'd rather have
If you ever caught wind of our previous show when we talk about McBride, that might not go well.
Yeah, I'd rather have my testicles pierced.
I think it'd just be great to have. It would be one of those things where just sort of like what we did with Winalda and Laws, but less about the actual current events, but just talk about their existence, his existence as a professional player, his time at his time at Fulham, at X, Y, and Z. How he was like the
dude,
throw under the bus guy for USSF.
No, I couldn't do it. I do like McBride. Of course, I'm a Fulham fan, and he's a legend in every way. His approach to covering the sport now is heartbreaking. It's telling, it's gutting, it's like, but he's also a peer of mine. You got to keep in mind, in the regional tournaments back in 1988, 7, we were playing in the same tournaments. I don't think I ever played against his team, but I certainly watched his team play at the time, and he was lauded. Even then, he was like this great high school talent. And that would be fun to share with him, those stories, those tournaments, those regional tournaments that we played in the Midwest, and ask him questions about his time at Fulham. But, modern opinion stuff about USMNT's national team is a little too sellout for me. I'm sorry. I don't know if I could do it. I could do it because we're professionals, Brett. When we have people on, we are and become professionals. But I have to
I just go back to the just the Winalda and Lawless topics where we talked. We got the little nuggets about their some fun stories that occurred when they were whether they're professional or national team players, and you just heard stuff that hasn't really come out in a talking point in any other avenue. So just maybe one of those things. Like I'd love to have him on just to talk about some of the fun stuff that happened at the World Cups and so forth.
Well, if anything, that the Winalda interview and the Lawless interview had on this show proved was that I can have a phone call before they come on and we can make up before they come on the show. So anything is possible, but I don't think McBride cares. And then in the long run, Lawless didn't care, and nor did Winalda. So, you know what? You can say, be critical of people, but then when you sit down and talk to them, they'll be like, all right, yeah, whatever. We'll move on.
We're not critical of people. Well, we are being critical of people in the end, but we're critical of ideas and talking points.
Yes.
Like, just because we didn't like how McBride handled X, Y, and Z doesn't mean we dislike him as a person and want him to fail on every avenue. We just like, dude, that was a pretty shilly move what you did there.
I'm sure he's a fabulous father. I'm sure he's great to be around. I'm sure he's a good guy. He's he's kind of a shill. That's all. He's more of a shill than Lawless. That's for sure. But that's because Lawless never worked for U.S. Soccer. It's like now McBride's looking to the future. He's like, I'd like to work there again. He can't say anything negative about U.S. Soccer ever. And he won't. Mark your words. Mark my words. He won't ever say a single negative thing about Greg or U.S. Soccer. And that, I can't abide by that. Don't hire him to be an analyst for your channel when a guy can't be 100% honest. Just look at what happened to Jermaine Jones, for Christ's sake. Look at what he's become. Because he is eyeing the future with U.S. Soccer. They had to sit him down and say, yeah, dude, here are all the things you're not allowed to say anymore. Yeah, it happens. All right. Let's move on.
Yep. Moving on to the main topic. We got the Brendan Aronson and Haji Wright interview pulled up, but I wanted to pull up the 55-second snippet first before we go into all your timestamps.
Let's do it.
This is the overarching topic of our show today, right?
It is.
What is the goal of going to Copa and playing?
At Copa.
If you were the coach, what would your goal be?
I mean, if I'm Greg or me, I can't put me in that, but if I were getting into Greg, I'd say I want to tamp down expectations a little that we're going to do anything amazing. So in case things go wrong, then, it's okay. Like the narrative is like, yeah, it's okay if we don't get to the semis or we don't get to the quarters. God help us if you don't get out of the group. But I think the whole narrative that they're trying to build here, and I know people were telling us, why are you reading into all these interviews?
Yeah.
Hey, that's what we do. That's what we do.
Let's not be overly critical and analyze every word and blinking of an eye and try to read too much into it. It's basically the gist of people who may have a problem with us when we pull up these pressers and talk about these pressers. But these pressers are our insight into what U.S. Soccer and U.S. Men's National Team and Greg are kind of pushing.
Right. And it's not
so we learn it.
It's not a secret. We're going to play a Michael Cameraman clip later that absolutely lays out the lowering of expectations. And yeah, I'm not going to sit here and blame this all on Haji. Haji's just a player. And all of these players go through a briefing prior to going into their interviews. So they knew this question was coming. What's your expectations? And we've had other players say different things than what came out here, but they're not in camp yet.
It'd be great. It'd be great if when Haji answered it, he pulled up an index card and read straight from the index card.
Yeah, but
that's kind of what it felt like.
He generally said what's been told for him to say, right?
He regurgitated exactly because we're gonna get into the clip here in a second, guys. But the question says they talked to player X and Y. I forgot, was it the Richards and Turner or whatever it was, one of those previous interviews.
Yes, we're going to do that
they
too.
said this for the expectation.
Yep.
And Haji basically just said the exact same thing. He just reworded it and said the exact same thing.
Exact same thing. Yes.
All right. Let's pull it up. Let's give them a little bit of context for those who may not have watched this yet.
Thank you, Michael. Hi, guys. When asking Greg and some of the other players in the group, obviously, what's the purpose and what's the goal with Copa America? And the answer is always keep building, keep growing for 2026. This experience we're going to build to that. But all of that aside, what would be a good Copa America? What's the real objective on the field for you guys?
Okay, so there's two. There's the expectations and what do you guys think would be a good result in the end?
I mean, go ahead.
And you had mentioned the idea of lessening the expectations. Let's not get too crazy in case it doesn't happen. Because getting to the semifinals like we did in 2016 is going to be a tall order. We're going to be playing a lot of really good teams, and that's great. That's the best thing that's going to come out of this. Really, is the experience of playing against these top teams. Hopefully, we put up a good show. But shouldn't the mentality of every match, regardless of who you're playing, be our expectations is to come out with a win. It's going to be difficult. We may even be underdogs, but that's our expectations. That'd be my take, right?
I don't know if you don't need to necessarily say expectation. I think that
my personal goal is to win,
our stretch goal is to win this thing.
We would like to win this match. Even saying that is kind of a defeatist mentality in that sense, because we would like to win this match. Sounds like you're saying, but probably not going to.
I mean, you could say, listen, we're not favorites to win this, obviously, but we're going into this tournament to win it. Like, why even show up if you don't feel
it's all about building, Derek. It's all about building for 2026.
If you don't feel that, you've got a real shot. Why show up? We feel like things go our way. We play at our best. There is a chance we could win this tournament. So we got to go in feeling that way. And we want to go in with the most there's nothing wrong with saying that, because it's not like Argentina and Brazil and Uruguay and Colombia are going to use that for poster material somewhere. Yeah. It's like, listen,
fucking American team. Look what they're saying about us.
We know we're not. We know we're underdogs to win this tournament.
Sure.
But we believe we have the team, the structure, the coach, or what if you want to give Berhalter a good blow there on the side, just a little. You could say all that and get away with it easily. So, anyhow, go ahead.
I know Colin says, surely you guys don't think U.S. can pass and keep possession like Uruguay and Colombia. No, again, it's one of those things where we can be underdogs and we can maintain a game where we don't have the bulk of possession. I mean, and still come out and pose threats and possibly beat teams. I mean, we're going to be underdogs for a lot of these games if we move forward, of course.
Clearly. But there is such a thing. And I don't know if anybody has thought of this in their life as beating a player or beating a team, in this case, that's better than you on paper. It's just paper.
We lost to fucking Trinidad and Tobago, so anything's fucking possible.
We once did, back in the 90s, did really good in Copa America once under Klinsmann. We went to a semifinal.
Yeah.
Under Bradley, we went to the finals of the Confederations Cup and we beat Spain along the way. Has anybody heard that you can actually beat a team that's better than you by being more tactically advanced, by having a better game plan, by having just, the gumption to come on the field and play balls out?
Well, yeah. That Spain match is the most telling of that one, right?
Tactical,
we spent 90% of that game in our box clearing crosses. And quite frankly, that played right into our hand. Thank goodness Spain was lobbing in cross after cross after cross.
It's just amazing
that worked
to
for
me.
us.
I mean, it's amazing to me how many people just go to the paper and go, paper. Oh, on paper, there's no chance we can beat Uruguay. On paper, there's no way we can beat Brazil or Argentina or Colombia. Yeah, on paper. It's fucking paper. That's why you play the fucking game. Wake the fuck up. When is the last time Greg defeated a team that he shouldn't beat? Never is the answer. Absolutely never. Never. Can't say that about Klinsman. Can't say that about Bradley. Can't say that about Bruce. They all beat teams we shouldn't beat. All of them did. So I don't want to hear this shit. The expectation is we got a chance. Go out there and make it happen. Go out there and do something amazing. Go play above and beyond. Have an amazing tactical plan that allows your team limitations or your player limitations to rise above. But no, apparently that's now impossible. You really think we can go out there and beat Uruguay and Colombia? No, not on paper. But in a real world, yes, it's possible. This isn't like the Faroe Islands playing the Italy. This is a goddamn team full of players playing in Europe in the top 5 leagues. And some of them are stars on their teams. Yes, it's very possible. We put the right game plan together that can happen. And I'm sick of hearing otherwise. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of this defeatism. Go out there and let these kids play, but give them the right plan and the right setup, and the right tactics, put together the right starting 11, and you never know what can happen. But if you go out there with all the wrong stuff, yeah, you're going to lose. And Greg's shown no ability or inclination to set up anything remotely close to what would be, except for England. That's the best he's done. And that was a tie, not a win. It was a tie. I don't want to hear about this. We got no chance shit. On paper, sure. But that's not how the real goddamn world works. Stop this shit. That's not how the real world works. You go out and you play the game. There's a reason they play it. Otherwise, just mail it in. You want to mail it in? Mail it in. Don't even watch the goddamn fucking Copa America. Just mail in it. Mail it in. Just don't skip it. Don't watch us play it all. Just skip it. If you think it's a foregone conclusion already. All right.
Hold on.
Let's
I'll play this in just a second. Colin says, why is Derek talking about not winning? Who said that?
Lots of people.
Well, and this is the thing. This is the thing, Colin. It's not specifically just about the comment you had mentioned earlier about being able to outpass and outpossess Uruguay and Colombia or play like that. It wasn't just your comment. It's taking that comment and going off of what people are saying on X, the defeatist mentality that's going on, what it sounds like is happening in these pressers. As Derek mentioned, we're going to hear from cameraman in a few,
Michael,
where he talks basically about how
we've
never beaten Colombia,
well,
and that stuff. So it's not just about your comment about outpassing, because we understand your point as far as focusing on where we need to improve the game as far as how we're moving off the ball, how we're making the passes. That's great. The problem is we're still hindered by the system and by Greg. Quite frankly, that's not changing a little bit, but as a whole, that system is staying around for the next 2 years.
Here's the hilarious part, as you pointed out earlier in the Confeds Cup. Spain outpossessed us like 80-20 in that game. And we won it because of a brilliant tactical plan by Bradley that worked. I guess in the end, you really have to ask yourself. And Richard says this in the interview. I don't detect that there will be any change in the way we play, regardless of the opponent. We don't focus on the other team. We focus on us. Well, that's about the dumbest thing I have ever heard in my life, because if a team is so much better than you skill-wise, let's say Argentina, you got to change the way you play to win the game. There's nothing wrong with winning ugly. Absolutely zero. Nothing in the world wrong with winning ugly. And now that is absolutely unacceptable. No one will talk about it. No one wants to accept that. No one wants to embrace the idea you can win ugly anymore. Winning uglies, that's brilliance. That's strategy. There are many wars that were won in the past winning ugly by people who are way outnumbered by their opponent. But they won ugly. The Battle of Agincourt, for instance. I don't want to get too detailed. We know
that Greg has a problem with winning ugly. He mentioned Onstad mentioned it in an interview. He talked about how Berhalter's Columbus team beat Red Bulls in a match,
right,
in a very direct style.
Was that playoffs, I think, too?
And he came back and said, "We are never playing like that again."
What a dumbass!
So I mean, it's a system. You got to play that way. And Colin had talked about. He even goes on to say, "Do you think Berhalter choreographs the passes, but the system kind of enforces it?" And
yes, he doesn't
I bring this up because we were watching. I forgot which game it was. Now it was one of the games we were doing the live play-by-play, and Derek was actually 2 seconds behind me, but he was calling the next pass that was going to happen, and it was spot fucking on. He was doing it 3 seconds into the future. So it's predictable, and it's maybe not every single pass, but yes, the movements are part of the system.
Yes.
Where players have to be is part of the system. Now you're gonna have moments of brilliance where Pulisic will dribble somebody and lay a nice easy ball for a tap in, or Gio slots a ball to Haji. Those brilliant moments will happen, and that could also be part of the system. But the overall arcing, where players need to be, who's going to be open, how it's going to work out, it's very predictable, and that's the system. It's not the individual players, because those players play on bigger and better teams, and they aren't that predictable then.
No, the only players that are really gifted much freedom on this team are Pulisic and Reyna. Everybody else is definitely system bound. Ask Skelly about it. Go watch the difference between the way Jedi is used at Fulham versus the way he's used in Greg's system. Totally night and day. Not the same thing. So, yes, obviously there's system involved, and that is in many ways keeps us from playing a lot of free ball. So when I do watch a U.S. men's national team game, I can absolutely tell you where the next pass is going 2 seconds before it happens, 3 seconds before it happens, because it is written in stone, and because we've seen it over and over and over and over again as we pass it around the shoehorn. How hard is that? It's usually sideways and backwards, so it's not really hard to predict. It's just not. But we're hoping that Reyna will give us that option to, split lines, split lanes, move forward. We're hoping, since Greg has embraced playing a center attacking midfielder, we will see change. I'm hoping that's the case in Copa.
With some 8 responsibilities too. It's not a pure 10.
Right. On defense, he's an 8. He's got to go back to the 4-3-3 and play as an 8. You're right. That's exactly how the setup is. On offense, he becomes a 10. And it's not abnormal. That happens on teams all across the world that play a 4-3-3/4-2-3-1. It transitions between two formations depending on the situation in the game. So
embraced, Cam, you mean a 4-3-3, right?
Yeah. I just watched the women's what was it? Was it U20s today?
U20s, yeah.
It was live on YouTube, and those motherfuckers are so cheap they couldn't even find somebody to put a timer on it to tell you what time of the game it was, and a goal score. Like, how cheap is U.S. soccer? Fucking inexpensive. would it be to put a tiniest graphic up to show the score and the time? Because everybody, that's half the chat was like, what's the score? What time is it? Where are we? Is this first half, second half? Like just a whole, like how hard would that be, Brett? It's not hard.
MLS and U.S. Soccer managed to do it for the exciting Chicago Fire 2 versus a USL2 team, which is a semi-pro team. I forget which team it was now, but it doesn't really matter. But I mean, you're talking about two teams that are practically semi-pro, and you're able to throw up a graphic on that. So
no announcer
can't be that expensive, guys.
No announcer either. So it's not like they're paying anybody to call the game. And I'm not sure what the score was, but when I was watching it, and I know the women beat Korea earlier this week, the U20 women, but they were getting their ass kicked today before I stopped watching.
Who were they playing again? Was it Colombia?
No, Korea again. They're playing.
Oh, they're playing Korea again?
Oh. Yeah. Yep.
All right. So just to recap the last 29 seconds of this clip, because I know it's been like 10, 15 minutes. Basically, a reporter asked, "Hey, this is what player X and Y said as far as the expectations are. What are your expectations, and what would you like to do in Copa?"
Right.
What will be a good Copa America when everything is all and done?
Yeah, I mean, for us, this isn't the end-all, be-all for us. Again, our goal is the 2026 World Cup. And fortunately, just like everybody else has said, this is a building step for us to get there, to get on the pitch against high-profile teams and against teams that are of great quality, and to show ourselves against them and to measure our level against theirs so that we can build as a group and have that experience when we come into the 2026 World Cup.
That was the nothing answer.
Yeah, it was. And he's generally been told that that's the theme that he needs to say. And if we go to the Turner and Richards interview, it's not much different either, especially if we want to march all the way up to 11:35 on that, by the way. We'll start at the end before we go backwards. But it's the same thing for Michael Kammerman when they start talking about the Colombia friendly, right? No, go ahead. That's cool. I know. I thought we had commercials removed.
I was on mine.
Oh.
All right. So 11:35.
11:35. So the question was to the players: what are your expectations against Colombia? And here's what Michael Kammerman says.
Forward to this tournament.
Colombia comes into the friendly at Commander's Field riding a 21-match unbeaten streak since February of 2022. Also note the U.S. team is winless in the last 7 matches against Colombia, the second longest winless streak against any team in the world, the first being Brazil. We'll continue.
Who are also going to play in this tournament, potentially. Dude, this is not good. Listen, I've been told by a million people that Michael Kammerman is one of the nicest guys in the world, but his job is to create a narrative. The turd in the background creates the narrative. That's his job at the beginning, which, by the way, when U.S. Soccer actually does put up the interviews, which they don't 90% of the time, which is why I got to go find it on JRE, right? I got to go find this interview on some weird ass, YouTube page that covers sports, like all sports interviews, because U.S. Soccer are such chicken shits. They can't actually put up the interviews, or they're so cheap. Either one of the two. They're either cheap as shit or they're chicken shits and they don't want this shit out there. So JRE Sports thankfully posts all of these interviews up so we can watch them. And if you're thinking, oh, they're just interviews, there's nothing in here. Well, then you're stupid, because there's plenty of narrative building in here. Always there is. In every tournament we play, the narrative is already starting to be built. Colombia really good. We haven't beat them in a long time. They're really good. Brazil, shit. They're amazing. Obviously, we haven't beat them in a long time. Narrative building is there. This is all okay. People could say, well, you're reading too much into it. No, they're deliberate. If you don't understand how deliberate the narrative is at U.S. Soccer, then you've got little fucking midgets living in your brain. It's deliberate. This is not an accident. They do this on purpose. It's just like any political candidate. Same thing. Deliberate. The language is deliberate. The framing is deliberate. So don't tell us to stop paying attention. Don't tell us like this is not important. Fuck you. Oh, these are molehills. You're jumping over molehills. Fuck you.
I mean,
this is our job to analyze this later.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brett.
No, I was gonna say I didn't mean to cut you off there either. But jumping every now and then I like to jump back to a Ted Lasso reference here. But in the first season, when everybody's like in a shit mood because they're gonna go play Everton, and they haven't beaten Everton in like 60 years.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, we always play shit at fucking shit Everton, blah blah. But I mean, that's the mentality that's going on right now. You're laying the foundation, saying, you know what? We've never beaten them, and haven't beaten them in like 20 some odd games, and who knows what's going to happen in a couple days? But let's not get our hopes up or anything.
Yeah, this is just a building block to the World Cup. We heard similar shit from Greg. It's the same shit. I really prefer what Pulisic said on this, which is, listen, and he's not.
Do you want to hold off and just pull him up real quick?
Yeah, let's pull it up because I like what he's not in camp right now, and yet he's on his way. But he was asked about this at CBS before he's been briefed. Obviously, well, maybe he is in camp, but I like his attitude better, honestly. Which is like, if I'm going to go there, I'm going to go there and try to win. Go ahead and play it. I'm sorry.
What's the goal for you in the World Cup and also the Copa America?
Yeah, it's tough to put an exact label on. I hate
he's
when
at
people
his
try to
camp
say,
in Hershey.
if you make it to this part in the group stage or out of the group stage or to the quarterfinal, that's a success. For me, you go in with that mentality of trying to win. And for me, we're going to do the best we can and hopefully inspire all the Americans watching. And we're going there to win, and that's always going to be my goal.
Yeah, he hasn't been briefed yet.
He hasn't gotten the package. Yeah,
right.
Derek, what's the motto of this cycle of U.S. men's national team?
To change the way Americans feel about American soccer.
Isn't this what you want to say?
Yes.
I don't like saying we want to get to X, Y, and Z. I go into every match with the expectations of winning, and we'll go from there.
Right.
Well, how are we going to change the mentality? And then, mind you, the problem is, the common folk don't necessarily watch the pressers, and they're not going to see these clips. But how are we going to change the mentality of our fans and potential fans by simply saying, "Oh, we're playing Colombia. We've never really beaten Colombia before, and I wouldn't necessarily hold our breath on this one. Man.
Yeah.
This is going to be a ridiculous game."
And it's been even worse against Brazil. Listen, it's just
they're doing it wrong, right?
The difference between Reyna and Pulisic, who were interviewed by this, who are not in camp yet, and the guys who are in camp and who were picked for the interviews, that being Matt, Chris, Aronson, and Haji, are totally different. Although it looks to me like Matt and Chris were kind of surprised by Michael Cameraman interrupting the interview to bark out that information. Like they're looking at each other like, damn, don't say that. They're kind of like, damn, why are you saying that? That's like bad. So, negative shit. Well, we got to keep on with the next interview.
We'll jump back real quick. While we're talking about Pulisic, and there's no better time to pull us up than after that little presser here. Here's Serie A's Team of the Year, and Pulisic made it. That's awesome.
I'm fine with it as long as they're basically saying, okay, here's the thing. how Pulisic is on here instead of Leao surprises me a bit. But it could be marketing reasons. I think Leao's a better player than Pulisic. I think he's a greedier player. I think he's a selfish player, Leao. Whereas Pulisic is a harder worker and an all-around teammate and not selfish at all. But I was surprised when this came out and Leao was on there, not on there instead of Pulisic. I
This
was
by whoscored.com, it looks like.
Yeah, I don't know who the fuck
and,
they
and
are.
it looks like they're going based off of a point system.
Just
so
stats.
it's possible that Pulisic had a higher game rate.
He
rating
scored
than Leao
more.
did,
Yeah.
You know, quite frankly,
He's-
that's likely what it is.
He scored more. Yeah, no doubt. But I think universally, most people would probably say that Leao's a better player. Although, frankly, through parts of this season, I would disagree. I think Pulisic was a better player.
So a couple of people are talking about that the Napoli player is the one who beat out Leo, not Pulisic. My question would be: is with this mock-up of a team of the year for Serie A, do you think they really care about positions?
No, obviously they're playing a
right wings.
they're playing a 4-4-2.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Do you
Who
think,
the
do you
fuck
think it's
does
only
that
right wings
anymore?
versus right wings, or do you think they're looking at the wings as a whole in their contribution? I don't know.
I can't get in their brain.
To your point, it could just be marketing. You're right. It's possible.
Yep. It's marketing, probably.
Let's
I
say
don't know.
People were talking about this beforehand, but Pulisic caught hanging out with Alexa Melton.
Golfer.
And I had to look her up. Yeah, she's a golfer and she's an influencer, social media influencer. And I can't help but think that the golf shorts that I've seen recently of a girl in like a skin tight like golfer's short dress type of thing
Could be her.
could have been her. I don't
Could
know.
be. I mean, her boobs don't look as big as that girl, but
Okay, I thought you were going to make a comment about her boobs because you just made a comment about Raina's girlfriend, how you didn't like those comments about. But you're comparing two people, and you're like, I don't think it's her because of this reason.
right. I'm saying it doesn't look like that woman that does the golf things in skimpy clothing with the big boobs.
Yeah.
That's all.
Alex does say marketing. Come on, guys, give Plus credit. We do give him credit. We're just saying
We
it's possible. It's possible that these Italian sites, or I don't know who scored it as Italian or not. But it's possible that this could be a marketing ploy by them. But I also mentioned how it's possible that since they're going off of the player ratings, that he just had a higher player rating.
And I also said, by the way, Alex, that I do think that Pulisic, through parts of the season, was better than Leao. But I do think universally, especially by people who are trying to sign Leao away from AC Milan in the English Premier League, they regard Leao as a more talented player. That's just the honest truth. That's what is out there.
Untouchable says they both look like they're going to prom next week.
They look like they're having fun. It looks like Pulisic just told a testicles joke and she's laughing about it. You know, he's like, my dick's not very big, but my testicles are really long. And she's like, oh my God, that's so funny. I'm totally into long testicles. I'm so glad you said that. That's so funny, though. I don't know how you knew that.
So good for Christian. He's got some lady friends out there. He's killing off some of the talking points that may or may not have started on this show
about him being a virgin. I know. I got the messages. Pulisic, your people need to calm down. Stop coming after me. It was a joke. He's not a virgin. Okay, calm down. Calm down. I get
but
it.
as you mentioned, this doesn't necessarily indicate that he's not still.
I don't think so.
He just might have a special lady friend right now.
I mean, I don't need to see a porn video with him in it, some sort of leaked video, but I do know that he's very religious and he does believe in marriage before sex. Sorry, he's very religious. So he's, and so if he has that standard, I'm completely fine with it. But the joke was a joke. It wasn't a personal attack on him or anything. Doesn't mean he's a pussy or, he's got no, testicular fortitude or no testosterone. Obviously he does. I mean, look at his chest. It looks like a beard when he doesn't shave it. He's a hairy man. He'd be perfect for San Diego's lineup, San Diego FC in MLS. They love hairy men at San Diego.
It's true. Okay, so we do have the Brendan Haji, we have BJ, and we have the Chris and Turner.
But we got to go back to the Matt and Chris video.
That's what I'm saying. Which one do you want to go back to?
I think we go to Matt and Chris because here's the thing. This segment is all about Joe Scally, the forgotten man that no one cares about. No one will speak his name. No one in any of the interviews leading up to these friendlies will speak Joe Scally's name. Isn't that crazy? Whenever the right back discussion comes up, no one utters the word, well, we got Joe Scally.
Maybe he's in fact Voldemort. You don't know.
No one is
Maybe he's Beetlejuice. You say his name 3 times and he appears.
No. His name never comes up. They don't want Beetlejuice to appear.
That's my point, right?
Right. So we can start at 8:10 with Matt and Chris. They ask him about the right back spot.
Obviously, what happened with Serginho is just a horrible timing. I feel really bad for him, but he seemed to have taken it all in stride. I spoke with him, briefly when I heard the news, and he seemed to have pretty good spirits about him. And I'm sure in the beginning he will have good spirits, and then maybe they'll drop down for a little while. And I think he knows that all of us will be there for him. Everybody at the national team. All the staff, all the players, to rely on, no matter when that might be. So he knows that he has a really solid foundation, solid support group. And yeah, we'll definitely miss him, on the pitch. He's a talent.
I got to pause it, but all real nice things he's saying. We got your back.
Sick Zappy Beef says, Scally hasn't performed for the national team. I'm not disagreeing that he hasn't been spectacular. No fireworks have shot out of Scally's ass.
Didn't he have a good Nations League game against Canada?
Yeah, sure.
I'm just saying that's one.
I don't think. My point is that it's very obvious at this point that Scally is not going to be the answer, and they all know it. All of them already know it, because as we get deeper into this, and we talk about the right back position, nobody mentions Scally. I know we lost Est, but we got Joe Scally. No one says it. Like, this guy must be either the most unpopular guy on the team, or everybody who just knows that Greg's going to do something different or try, especially in the friendlies, something that doesn't include Joe Scally on the list. So, anyhow, you can keep playing.
I was going to say, I got to hear what he has to say as a whole before I say anything.
Talented player, dribbler, going forward, passing the ball. He's obviously done really well 1v1 defending for us. He's a great player. He's really important to the team, but we have plenty of guys that step into the role.
Plenty.
We can be adaptable there, and
adaptable.
It's just part of the game, right? You have to be ready to adapt and overcome and to make change and to deal with change. And the best teams are able to do that.
You know what, Brett? You know what would happen if you really believed in Joe Scally? There wouldn't be much adapting needed to happen. Or there wouldn't be much change at all. You would just plop Scally in there, right? And he would do his best version of Dest, but play a lot more defense, obviously. But it wouldn't be like this massive statement they're all making. Like, oh, we got to change. There's a big adaptation coming. There's many guys that can play the position.
Well, I think the adaptation would be having Scally as your right back, because he plays different than Dest, and he plays different than how all the other guys that he doesn't mention but kind of mentions would play that role.
Okay.
Because Scally's a different person. He might be looking at this going, yeah, I don't think Greg is really going to be changing anything here. And I think we're going to see somebody who's going to be more Dest-like.
So let me ask this. Let me ask you this. Who's the natural replacement for Reyna?
Tillman.
Yep. Who's the natural replacement for Turner?
Nobody.
Horvath.
I know it's Horvath, but he hasn't played a game since that flub of a friendly he had.
I'm not going to
friendly, but
I can go on, but I'm not going to for the purposes of not annoying you. But the point of what I'm saying is the natural answer for who's the replacement for Dest should be Joe Scally. But it's not the answer.
It's going to be everybody's first answer. If they have to come up with somebody initially speaking, they will absolutely say Joe Scally first.
Don't. If you think that, why won't anybody? BJ, Chris Richards, Matt Turner, Brendan Aronson, Haji Wright. Why will none of them say that?
No, my point being is that if you have to sit there and say who's the backup to Dest, 99.9% of fans are going to say Scally.
But
now, mind you, here's the
thing, though.
But here's the thing: as the team, I guarantee you, Greg has mentioned that we're going to be experimenting. Because we need somebody to back. Maybe he even says we may need somebody to back up Scally in the sense because Scally's our only right back option because Shaq Moore is not there. But
the whole point is exactly what Nye Michaels, no one on this team, including Greg, which is what we've been saying for a while, trusts Joe Scally. Otherwise, like if you heard, oh yeah, well, Reyna's out, but we got Malik. Right? That's usually how it goes down. Oh, Pulisic, he went down, but you know who we got? We got Haji. He can play out there. For sure. So we're comfortable. Usually give a shout out to a guy. No shout outs for Joe Scally. Joe Scally gets 0 shout outs from anybody in all of these interviews. None. It's as if he doesn't exist.
Well, Derek, quite frankly, even when Dest is there, it's Joe Scally doesn't exist because he's rarely gotten playing time under Greg. And that could be the big hurt thing. You remember when Jedi first started under Greg? How good were those games? Were those good games?
Listen, I don't oppose any of this, Brett. I'm not saying...
I'm just saying, to your point, because you're like, it's almost like he doesn't exist. And I'm like, up until recently, he didn't exist. It always required Dest to get a stupid fucking red card before Berhalter would actually play anybody else in that position.
Yep.
And fuck, I mean, you even threw Shaq Moore in that position whenever Dest had to come out at the 60th minute in the World Cup, which is stupid beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Yep.
But this is the thing. This is the thing. He sticks with his guys. He does not venture very much. He does a little bit here and there, and it's guys that have always been kind of in there. But he doesn't venture out much because then all of a sudden we lost Pulisic and we lost Weah for one window because of an injury, and we were just like, what the fuck are we going to do?
Yeah.
Brendan Aronson is sucking donkey balls right now. He's our only other wing that we have actually played with in the last year or two. What are we going to do? Because he doesn't venture. He doesn't experiment outside of those friendlies before all this happened should have been the moment. We should not have been starting all our key starters on all the matches. Change some shit up.
My point about all this, by the way, Brett, is not so much that I'm defending Joe Scally as a player, even though the last game he played where he got burned wasn't all his fault, by the way. It is that narratives in the pressers before the games are important. They do tell you something about what's coming down the pipeline. So all these people saying, "Oh, you watch all these interviews and they're meaningless." They're meaningless. No, they're not meaningless, idiot. They're absolutely building a narrative. They're building a picture for us, even if it's not in this case with these guys. It's not necessarily something they're building with Michael Kammerman, but it's the feeling of the team in general that Trusty's not the obvious just stand-in. They're basically telling you, we got all these other guys, We're going to have to adapt. We're going to have to change. Whereas if they had super confidence with Joe Scally, they'd be like, no big deal. We got Joe Scally. He's going to play right back. He's going to step up and play there. I mean, it's just so obvious this is not the case. And if we go to 10 minutes, we'll get more. We get more of this. It's crazy. Like, no one will say the words Joe Scally. It's crazy.
Adaptable. And so
Adaptable.
I think, regardless of who ends up playing the position and what kind of formation we run, I think it's all based upon us. I think, of course, we analyze opponents, we analyze how they play, but at the end of the day, we focus on us and what we can do, because that's all you can control. So I think, like I said,
So I'll say that must have been the quote that you were referring to earlier.
Yeah.
When you were saying we're not really paying attention to the other team, we're going to play our game basically, and that's not. I don't think that's necessarily what he said, because he's like, we're focusing on our opponents, but at the end of the day, we're really focusing on ourselves. So it's like we're paying attention to what they do, but we're not really going to change what we're doing. Is what you said.
Yes,
right?
But that's exactly what he said in other words, different words, but it's the same in the end. Like the intimation is, in the end, we just control what we do. We don't really worry about the other team. That's what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not like we're going to come out and play against Columbia any different than we come out and play against St. Kitts. We might make some adjustments, but at the end, it's about what we do and fuck what they do. The other team does. Just saying. That's kind of what he said there.
Don't think it'll change depending on the game, but also I'm not the coach, so I can't tell you that. But from what I can gather from this group and what I've gathered from this group for playing with them for so long is that we're more focused on what we do rather than what the opponent does.
Yes.
Fair enough. And quite frankly, I think that's more telling, again, on how Greg approaches each window, because we haven't seen very much variation.
No.
So why would we focus on what the opponents are going to do, how they play? Because we have no way to counter, because we've never practiced or trained a specific way.
Well, yeah, we play the same system constantly.
Yeah.
But
well, that's why I would say like Greg's plan B is just plan A with different players.
Yeah, pretty much. It's really hard when you've been stuck in the 4-3-3 and the 4-2-3-1 to suddenly come out, and I don't think we're going to see it maybe in the friendly for like 15 minutes. In a 3-5-2 or whatever, a 3-4-3, when you haven't done it in ages. And the last time you did it, you got spanked by Honduras in the first half.
Well, and I was going to say that Greg's only time for experimenting is when we're playing away from home. Yeah. So maybe we'll see it. Who knows?
I mean, I doubt it. I think that Greg, and this is basically what Richards is saying too, I don't see it. I don't see any massive experimentation happening. I don't see anything that different going on. We do what we do, and we're going to continue what we do. That's basically what he said in so many other words. And I agree with him 100%. I do not think that Greg is not risk embracing. He's not risk embracing. He is risk averse. So it must win. In a must-win game, Berhalter was going to start Areola over Weah, but that's because he really loves Areola. That's all.
Most guys do.
Yeah. He just loved him some Areolas. Nipple.
Well, and that's why, that don't want to really go down this path by any means, but when people always talk about like the Berhalter favorites, they're like, there's no Berhalter favorites. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, there were.
But we had Weah benched while Ariel ran the entire camp. It took the third game and a pre-game injury for Weah to start. And then at that point, we never looked back.
Dude, I just saw a lineup, one of his first ones with Ewell and who's his favorite Columbus center midfielder he used to always use starting in center midfield? Trapp. Yep, Trapp. Starting. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. I don't remember that. I remember those guys played on the team, but that's diving deep.
Eric, you got to unmute Larry. He lets me know on a weekly basis that Berhalter spent his first 2 years playing Yule and Trap, and insert random player here. So
Larry is unmuted. I see all his things now. I do. I see them all. All right. Yeah. And then we've got, we move on to BJ. Same question about right back. Just to round
Are we done with the Richards and Turner?
Yep.
Okay. Just wanted to close some stuff out. And it's out of context hearing, and we're on to BJ. It's just, sounds a little strange. Or sounds really nice. One of the two.
I don't know. Not on this show. All right. BJ's a normal thing. And then we go to 905. BJ.
905?
905. BJ says about who's going to take over for Dest at right back. That's what he says.
What the fuck?
Oh, you must be on your account again. Yeah. Not the straight right card account.
Yeah, but I only switched out one. I don't even remember being on my account on this computer. What the hell? My son's probably on this computer. You know what? I'm just going to go and nip in the bud and bounce over on the Brendan and Haji one, too. Don't want to be... I'm going to do this later. Okay. BMR just said, for fuck's sake, Brett.
BMR, this is not an easy job. This is not easy. First of all, I'm all over the place. All right. So Brett's got to be on his...
like, what the fuck, Brett?
Brett's got to be on his toes because, I'm all over. So he never knows when I'm going to skip a topic and jump to another one. It's not his fault.
All right, 905.
Yeah, so, I mean, for the right back position, certainly I think, we've got a lot of capable options that we're going to take a look at. And of course, everything comes down to sort of
well, I'll pause it there. He absolutely just laid it out that we are going to be experimenting at that spot.
Yes, absolutely he did.
It's not necessarily to say that they don't have faith in Scally, although
that's the implication, though.
If they did, like you said earlier, they would say, well, we have Joe Scally, and then from there, we're going to try a couple of players just to make sure we have a backup readily available.
Yes.
That's what they would have felt. That's what they would say.
Yes.
So
it's not what he said, though.
Yeah. Nope.
You got to read between the lines here.
Every time you might notice this when I'm doing this, I go to hit play, and then you would say something. So then I click pause again, but I do a double tap, and then it shrinks it and comes. I have to maximize it again. So you might see that every now and then. It's like because I'm like going to hit play, and then you start talking. I'm like, oh shit, he's not done yet. All right, continuing on.
Individual game plans. You're right. We're going against teams that collectively are very good, but also some of them have some world-class players. But I think the strength of our group is guys are adaptable. They play different positions in their clubs.
Oh my God!
And that's one of the greatest strengths that I think whoever we choose to play that position, or multiple players to play that position throughout the tournament. We expect them to perform well, and for me, we've seen that at the club level, and I don't think the expectation is no different here at the national team level.
If I'm Joe Scally right now, I think that I was the skankiest girl at the party that nobody wanted to hook up with. And because not using his name and saying, well, number one, we've got Joe, but we'll probably try some other things out. But we do have Joe. Joe's our guy, and we trust Joe. No, they do not trust Joe. This is so obvious at this point.
Yeah.
I'm Joe Scally. I think I got locked into a fucking bukkake party, and everyone's pissing on me before they unleash the juice. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
this is bad.
It'd be one thing if this match was occurring last season, and they're saying this, I'd be like, dude, what the fuck? But I mean, he had a pretty sus season as a whole.
Yes, he did.
He hasn't had great outings with the U.S. recently. So at this point, I mean, if I was Scally, I'd be like, I gotta fucking show up, otherwise I might lose my spot to our winger or a center midfielder at this point.
Sounds to me like he already lost his spot.
I still think he's probably going to start the matches at least the Columbia match, and then
The
from
friendlies?
there, in the friendly, yeah, he'll still start the Columbia match, and then at that point, the second half, if he's not performing, or even if he is performing, he might still get swapped out then, because again, they're indicating that they're definitely going to be experimenting.
I'm going to bet you $5, Brett, right here, that Musa starts it right back in that first game in that friendly against Colombia.
Being very specific there.
Yep.
So if it's anybody but Musa, you have to pay me $5.
No, you said Scally.
But you're guaranteeing that it's Musa.
It could be way up, but I'm guessing Musa in a 4-2-3-1 with McKennie and Adams as the hold and Reyna as the CAM, and it right back Musa, because they got to get him on the field. You know how much Greg loves Musa? Is there any player that Greg showered as much come over in the last 3 years in interviews than Musa? No. You can't even think of a player. Not even Pulisic has gotten, is like, remember when they asked Greg, who's going to be your breakout player at the World Cup? Oh, it's going to be Yunus Musa. He's amazing. He's one of the most amazing players. He's a great young player. I love sucking his cock. All that. I mean, really. So that wouldn't surprise me, because Musa did play right back twice at AC Milan this season. That gives him enough incentive to try him out at right back right off the bat versus Colombia.
See,
and if it falls through, then Scally. Yeah.
I'm thinking the exact opposite, quite frankly. I'm thinking that Berhalter is going to give Scally enough rope to hang himself in that first half.
Could be.
And then that gives him the excuse to try out Musa or McKennie or Way at that point.
That's a much more devious way to look at it, but I think you might be right. But I think Greg also doesn't want to get scorched. And I do think he wants to get Musa on the field somehow.
I don't think necessarily playing Musa is going to prevent you from getting scorched. I think Greg's going to look at these friendlies as the opportunity to put, if we're assuming that he wants to play Musa right back, I think he's going to look for that reason to play him.
All right, well, friendly bet. You say Scally, I say Musa, $5. $5.
Sure.
All right. That's a pack of smokes.
It's half a bottle of vodka for me.
Half, okay.
Half.
But
I'll front the other half, don't worry.
I'm going to guess they're going into training and they're going to immediately be trying Weah and Musa out wide. And you already, if you're Greg, you're like, I want to keep Weah where he's at. I don't want to fuck with that. So
I don't think Weah's coming back now.
I'm just looking for the closest like for Dest. And as far as carrying the ball forward and being able to dribble past players, well, that's Musa. Can he play defense like Dest? Well, Dest's not the greatest defender anyhow, so I don't know how big of a deficit it will be. Can Musa do what Dest does it near the final third? No. That's the only problem. No. Musa in the final third, not good. But you're hoping he can drop it off to another player who can do that for you. Whereas Scally is mostly a defender. He'll make some crosses into the final third. He's not going to dribble by a bunch of players. That's not happening. He can't carry the ball forward like Dest or like Musa. I mean, he's a good player. He's a very decent Bundesliga level player. But he doesn't fit into what Greg likes to do out wide with his right back and left back. Just doesn't fit. Doesn't fit. And then, everybody likes to blame Scally for whenever anything goes wrong. Remember that horrible pass Zimmerman made to him?
Yeah, but everybody who said that was Scally's fault was wrong. So that's just them showing their ignorance.
It's like the ball was nowhere near him. Nowhere near him.
Zimmerman dropped the back like 10 yards past him.
Yeah. And
he was like, he had the audacity to yell at Scally.
Yeah. And Scally's like, dude, that That
I was
ball
right
was like
fucking here.
10 yards away from me. How am I supposed to go get that?
I literally passed it to you. You turned around to look to try to pass it to the other side. Turned back around, passed me, but it was 10 fucking yards away from me.
And the thing is, Scally had actually gone backwards to give him a better angle for the pass.
Yeah.
And Zimmerman bashed it 10 yards forward of where he was. He was being nice to Zimmerman. He was saying, now I'm going to give you an easier pass over here on this side. It's amazing. All right, what else we got? I think we're almost done.
Are we done with BJ?
Yeah, that's all I have for BJ.
All right, the only thing I've pulled up left is the Haji and Brennan.
That's correct. 520. These are the questions. Listen, no offense to Henry Bushnell. I'm sure he is a wonderful person. But these kind of questions must stop.
You said
at
5
inter-
what?
520. These kind of questions must stop. Must stop. Go ahead, Brett.
Well, that's like before I hit play. Going off that, that's why the guy I was talking to again. I think it was Scott about this. I'm like, hey, feel free to pass on some of these pressers. I mean, 90% of them is 90% of them are just wrong because all the questions they ask are the wrong questions.
Yeah, it's
There's
really
no pushback.
weird.
There's no nothing.
I mean, it's really weird. Even the guys we like and the guys we know, it's kind of like, wow, that's all you had? That's all you had in the quiver? What is that carries the arrows?
The quiver.
Yeah. That's all you had?
Yeah.
That's the same question the other guy asked 2 minutes ago.
Here it is right here. How do you like the stadium in Kansas City?
Yeah. It's like, I love the stadium in Kansas
What's your favorite
City.
restaurant in St. Louis?
It's wonderful. I love the St. Louis barbecue. Like, quit asking questions that are so stupid. But in this case, this is not a question you need to ask.
Next will be Henry Bushnell from Yahoo.
Thanks, Michael. Guys, appreciate both of your time. Haji, another question for you. Just going back to your first answer about playing wider than as opposed to in the center. I know you played there at times before in your career. But do you feel more comfortable
at times? Like
at times, he played the whole fucking season in Coventry City outside of like a handful of games out wide.
Well, I mean, the transfer market had at least about half the games listed as center forward and half the games as wide. Although Al's in the chat, he'll probably mention how he played as a striker.
But it's like, do you not know that? Like
No,
he's
great.
been playing out left all season.
Yeah.
For Coventry City, and you're acting like he's barely played it his whole career.
I'll just mess with you, man.
He dabbled out wide. Yeah, he dabbled.
Haji on the left and Pulley out right would generate some serious offense.
Yeah, Brendan could, by the way, care less about this whole interview. He was making weird faces the whole time. So,
all right.
now than
I'm curious to see what he has to say about that.
years ago, and how did you, if so, like how did you gain that comfort level? What was kind of the key step there?
Playing a lot.
Yeah, just playing games and being in the position. I think you don't really gain comfort doing anything without actually doing it. So
That's funny. I've been telling my son that we've been going to the field a lot more now that the weather's getting nicer. And he's so awkward shooting with his left. Of course, he's only 9. And
right.
Most 9-year-olds are pretty awkward shooting with their left or their opposite foot. And I'm like, hey, just like everything else, it takes practice.
You remember when you were a kid and the first time you took a poop consciously and you're like, wow, pooping's weird.
I don't recall that at all, Derek.
But you're like, how do you get used to that pooping? Pooping. That's the answer. I just did pooping and I got used to pooping. I mean, I got used to playing left wing because I played left wing. What the kind of question is this?
I didn't just look at my shoe and know how to tie them. It took practice to tie them properly.
Yeah. At some point, I had to tie my own shoes. And so, after time, I learned that, it was not like I never had to tie my shoes before. I've been tying them all season long. What is wrong with you, Henry? Come on, man. This is a come on, man. Remember, I think that was a come on, man thing on ESPN at one point. This is a come on, man. Where have you been? Let me see. How do you rate playing left wing like enters 2010 front line with 3 strikers in the front of Schneider? Yeah, that's pretty accurate, actually. Colin, well done. So, these are the kind of questions we don't need. Like, a guy who's supposed to know his stuff saying, yeah, you barely played there. How are you? I mean, are you comfortable with it? I mean, what are you watching? What are you tuning into? That's my question. I don't understand. This is your job. Brett and I have jobs. This is not our job. How do we know this? And you do not. I don't get it. And I certainly, if given access to, to interview, to give a question to Greg or whomever or the player, which they're never going to grant me. I'm surprised Pete still has access, honestly, to these interviews live, but they never call him, and he's well on giving up on ever, saying, hey, I got a question, because they're not going to call him. They call the same guys every single fucking time on these shows, so on these interviews. All right, I think we're about done, Brett.
No more for Haji and Brendan?
No, that was it. That's all I had. Because if we could pick out other things from this that reiterates the whole right back spot, but we've done enough on that, right? I think we've done enough. That basically says nobody likes Scally. Or not likes him. They don't trust him. So we're going to do something funky, and that's great. So on paper, fuck the paper, with a necessary rant about our national team expectations. Oh no, it's already out. It's already out. What did
Garbage was quick on it, man.
What did I say? Oh my God. Hopefully it wasn't horrible. I probably swore 30 times.
It's only a minute 47. Yeah, you could. Yeah, it would have been about 30 minutes. 30 curses easy.
Okay, what did he pick? Let's watch it.
You want to listen to it? Okay.
Yeah, real quick. Just so I know what I'm getting
into. Listen how necessary it is.
How tomorrow I'm gonna have to deal with this. I mean, it's amazing to me how many people just
a little meta.
Go to the paper.
Look at our screen.
I know paper. On paper, there's no chance we can beat Uruguay. On paper, there's no way we can beat Brazil or Argentina or Colombia. Yeah, on paper. It's fucking paper. That's why you play the fucking game. Wake the fuck up. When is the last time Greg defeated a team that he shouldn't beat? Never is the answer. Absolutely never. Never. Can't say that about Klinsmann. Can't say that about Bradley. Can't say that about Bruce. They all beat teams we shouldn't beat. All of them did. So I don't want to hear this shit. The expectation is we got a chance. Go out there and make it
pause
happen.
this so we don't get copyright struck.
Are we getting copyrighted for our own show? Go play above and beyond. Have an amazing tactical plan that allows your team limitations or your player limitations to rise above. Mm-hmm. But no, apparently,
Brian says someone should clip them reacting.
Impossible. You really think we can go out there and beat Uruguay and Colombia? No, not on paper. But in a real world, yes, it's possible. This isn't like the Faroe Islands playing the Italy.
Italy.
Goddamn team full of players playing in Europe in the top 5 leagues.
Oh, God.
And some of them are stars on their teams. It's like Inception. It's very possible. We put the right game plan together that can happen. And I'm sick of hearing otherwise. I'm sick of it. I mean, we need to watch ourselves watching this and watching it over and over again until it's like, totally insane.
We're like little bitty characters.
It's like 8,000, deep at that point.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I can't believe somebody already clipped that this fast.
Phenomenal.
This is crazy. This show anyhow, I want to thank all 400, I believe in 39 people that showed up to watch this tonight. It's fantastic. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, share it with your grandmother. And of course, Brett, you got to share it with your stepsister, right?
Well, of course.
And if you had any sort of idea of how to, make your relationship better, you and your stepsister sitting down, watching us on the YouTube on the big screen, there is no better way of kind of making that relationship all it needs to be. And when I say all it needs to be, that means not chastised by, the people around you in the family who are like, well, Jesus, that's kind of weird that you two gals and guys are together. I'm like, it's not weird. You just met. You're 16 years old. You're not related. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Go out, date. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Don't worry about the pressure. Just if you love each other, that's all that counts, right?
Yep.
You're not related. All right. Thank you for showing up. We will be back Thursday covering God knows what. I don't know, Brett. I have no clue what we're going to cover.
We're coming up quick to the game. There's going to be tidbits coming out.
We are coming up quick. Yes, for sure. Because we've got so much to cover in this summer. It's going to be awesome. We got Copa, right? That's going to be exciting. I think there's some Olympic shit.
There's Olympics, U20 qualifiers.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Short show, says Saul. Short show. It's under 3 hours.
I had
me.
another one pulled up. Miguel said y'all should do lives during the games this weekend.
We are probably. I don't know. Brett and I talk about it. We'll get back to you on that.
Yeah.
I know that I know Tact and Pete are going to do, but we started doing live as an option to Tact and Pete, and we might continue that. I think we're really good at that. We're really good at watching live games and calling the games and swearing. So I think, if you're interested in that, come watch us. I'm not saying don't watch Tact and Pete. They're great too. But, I think we do it differently. And if you're into what we do and our humor and the way we approach things, then watch us instead. That's fine. But otherwise, just watch the other guys. We love those guys. Those are guys that are like brothers to us. So, but I don't want to fume some sort of competition or anything, because Tact and Pete have been great to us, and we've been fairly good to them too. It's been very reciprocal. So I don't want to in any way say that.
Not much of a competition. Their numbers alone would squash us.
Oh no, they're killing us. They're both killing us. It's, that's the way it is. And bless them for that. All right, we will be back on Thursday. Until then, have a great week. Make sure again you like and subscribe, and we'll see you very soon. Good night.
That hurt.
Then what is this thing? Gio should never play for U.S. men's national team again because of the action of his parents.
What an idiot! Oh,
What type of Muppet does this?
Muppets. Absolute Muppets.
I'm not going to be the best person